City wins the game.
Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
Back-to-back best sports talk hosts as voted on in the Pitch magazine.
Live from the Van Studios. Here's CDOT.
Let's do this. Another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. I am excited because we don't have any more speculation about what the Chiefs should do in round one. We now have our answers. The Kansas City Chiefs at pick 32 select Joshua Simmons, a very talented offensive tackle out of Ohio State. We'll break that down for you coming up momentarily. Binkley is going to join us in studio. Binkley is not a huge fan of this pick.
They announced Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State.
I hate this pick, actually. Don't like it. Don't like it.
Binkley is going to be in studio coming up in an hour to explain to us why he doesn't like this pick. Mitch Holtz, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, is going to be on the show coming up at 4 o'clock. I'm assuming he loves this pick. He is going to tell us why he is a big fan of this selection coming up in a couple of hours. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll take you guys' thoughts. We'll also read some tweets from draft people and give you what they think about this. We'll also play some audio to let you know what those same people think as well. We've got you covered, all things draft right here on 96.5 The Fan. Before we get to the open of the show today, I want to thank everybody that had the opportunity to come out last night to the Landing in Liberty. It was a great time. Had a lot of fun. We watched a little NBA. We had some laughs. We also watched the NFL draft, and we saw the Kansas City Chiefs select Joshua Simmons with the 32nd overall pick. All right, I need you guys to do me a couple of favors. Number one, I need you listening to The Drive each day at 2 o'clock right here on 96.5 The Fan, and I need you to tell one friend. It'd be great if you could tell two friends, but you know what? If you just told one friend to check out the show, you know what? I would be thrilled, ecstatic, if you can do that. This is the selection that made the most sense for the Kansas City Chiefs. The board felt very wide open to Kansas City in how it was starting to fall in the back half of the first round. I told you guys this once we started this draft process. There were not many things that I was going to be upset if the Chiefs ended up deciding to do. If the Chiefs have drafted Luther Burden with the 32nd overall pick, I wasn't going to be upset. Will Johnson, a very talented corner who people thought could potentially go in the top 12, top 15 from Michigan, he had fallen down the draft board. You guys know I get the nickname Corner Dot. I would have been perfectly fine if that's the direction they had wanted to go. We had talked about offensive tackle for the last couple of weeks on this show, and Joshua Simmons was the one that I had identified as the one that I wanted them to take. So I think as we saw the draft play itself out, I think it became more and more clear that Kansas City was in a sense of control and the board was wide open in relation to what they wanted to do. This is the draft pick that made the most sense for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, to start things today, let's go through the possible scenarios of how this could play itself out. Because at least for me, I cannot tell you how you feel about this move. But I am looking at this as a redshirt, a.k.a. break in case of an emergency type of situation. Now, we can dive deeper into the finances of this move, but the Chiefs just gave Jalen Moore $21 million guaranteed a month ago. I'm assuming they like him. And if you like somebody enough to give them $21 million guaranteed, then I would consider them to be the starter heading into this season. So I'm looking at Jalen Moore as the left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know that we've had our jokes and our back and forths and our agreements and disagreements about Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor will make $21 million guaranteed this season from the Chiefs. His contract is $21 million guaranteed. His dead cap hit is $37 million. You might not like the answer to this, but Jawaan Taylor is going to be their starting right tackle because he is worth 9.81% of their salary cap. You are not benching almost 10% of your salary cap for the upcoming season. So I am looking at the Joshua Simmons move, not as they made a first-round pick in the 2025 draft. They made a first-round selection in the 2026 draft. You now give a very talented player who was good enough to be a 3-year starter at The Ohio State University. You have now given him a full year to rest, a full year to get stronger, a full year to change his nutrition, a full season to sit back and develop and start for you in 2026. That's a win. One point that I've made this week is if the Chiefs are going to find their left tackle of the future, and in some ways their right tackle of the future, you're going to need some things to work in your favor. And one of the ways that it can work in your favor is you have a player that probably should have been a top 10 pick, probably should have been a top 15 pick, but because of injury concerns, because of character concerns, whatever it is, he started to fall down the draft board. And not only did you take a starting caliber left tackle or right tackle in the first round, you got a 5th round pick to do it. This is the best case scenario for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is how I see this playing itself out. And that's why I said, if you disagree, we'll take phone calls today, 913-586-7965. This is the best possible outcome to me for the Kansas City Chiefs for this upcoming season. Jalen Moore pans out. Jalen Moore ends up being a top 12 left tackle in the National Football League. And all he really needed was to be given an opportunity. He goes out there, he starts every game for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's healthy, he's productive, he's a great locker room guy, and you have him under contract for next season. Maybe you're talking extension. Maybe you want to see how his 2-year deal plays itself out. But best case scenario for the Chiefs is that Jalen Moore is their left tackle for next season. He has a really strong year this year, and next year, you just continue over what you've had, and you keep that continuity. Kingsley Suamataia works out as a 2nd-round pick. We don't need to spend any time talking about center and right guard. You have those positions filled. And then at right tackle, when you will next season save $20 million moving on from Jawan Taylor, you insert Joshua Simmons, who is ready, fully healthy, developed, and ready to be a contributing starter for your team. And now you got $20 million to play with to go pay George Karlaftis, to go pay Trent McDuffie, to maybe go sign a player in free agency. That is the best possible outcome for this organization. Maybe Joshua Simmons ends up being your left tackle and you move Jalen Moore over to right. Someone has to play right tackle. Jalen Moore has played 55 snaps in his NFL career at right tackle. Joshua Simmons has been a career left tackle in the league. Someone has to move to the other position. But you know what the Chiefs haven't had in a long time? A good problem at left and right tackle. They have not been in a situation where it feels like they have an abundance at one of the most important areas on the field. So whether it's you figured out your long-term answer at left tackle or you figured out your long-term answer at right tackle, both are expensive, both are important. And with the 32nd overall pick and having the ability to pick up a 5th round pick, it was a no-brainer to me for the Kansas City Chiefs. This was a very smart move. The board worked out exactly how you wanted it to, and this is a move for the future to help solidify one of the few question marks that they have. You can't be mad at that. Yesterday was a great day for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a testament to their patience and seeing how the board was going to fall. It was smart general managing to move back one spot and still get the player that you want from a team that obviously you have history with the Philadelphia Eagles, but they took a player that you had no interest in taking. So yes, you were happy to take Joshua Simmons at 31 if he was there. You got him at 32, and you picked up an additional asset that could help you move up in the draft. You could use that on a veteran player. Who cares what you used the 5th round pick for? It was free. It was a free. We'll talk about Luther Burden. We'll talk about some of the other things that they could have done at the position. But for an organization that has been trying to figure out left tackle since Eric Fisher, for an organization that has been trying to figure out right tackle since friend of the show, Mitchell Schwartz, hurt his back, yesterday they went out, they identified one of their biggest needs, and they answered it. not just as a need, but also with maybe the best player available on the board. You cannot be mad at that pick that Kansas City made yesterday. It made the most sense. It lines up with their timeline. And if everything works according to plan, you are going to have 5 starting caliber offensive linemen next year who are all under the age of 26. You're going to have a younger left tackle, a younger right tackle, maybe the best center in the National Football League, a Pro Bowl all-pro caliber right guard, and we'll see how Kingsley Suamataia or Mike Caliendo develop over on that left side. But if your number one priority is to protect Patrick Mahomes and keep him upright, the Chiefs took a big step forward in that direction yesterday. Coming up on the other side, we'll hear from Veach, we'll hear from Todd McShay, we'll hear from some of the national voices about the Chiefs' first-round selection, but the Chiefs get Joshua Simmons, an offensive tackle, out of Ohio State. He is a guy who, if fully healthy, if everything had gone according to plan, you would not have been in a position to go get Joshua Simmons. But he hurt his knee earlier this year. He fell in draft boards. So you got a guy whose talent level is top 10, top 12, top 15, and you got him at 32 and you were able to pick up a 5th-round draft pick. Really good pick from the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll keep the conversation going. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5. The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
As men get older, our bodies change. We all know that, and often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find that your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make the change for good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Red Hot Car Giveaway. Only at Harris, Kansas City. Saturday, April 26th, one lucky winner will win a brand new Red Hot Lexus ES350. Harris is giving away $2,500 in free play every 15 minutes from 7 p.m. till 10:45 p.m. At 11, 2 winners will receive $5,000 in free play, and 1 person will win $10,000 cash. And 1 person drives home a brand new Lexus ES350. Visit our website for full details. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When I started watching my favorite team as almost Andy Reid, I couldn't get out of the parking lot due to my new popularity. Renner Garage Door has an offer that's just as popular. $100 maintenance check to keep your door running smooth. Get a free replacement quote. Renner carries top brands like Deldon, Amar, and LiftMaster. Family owned since 1956. Call or visit rennerdoor.com. Renner forward and back.
RENNER. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
You know how you always want to know about everyone else's money? On the podcast What We Spend, guests will, for 1 week, tell us everything they spend their money on.
My son slammed $6 worth of blueberries in 5 minutes.
And everything that makes them feel.
I want to own a house. I want to have a child. But this morning, I really wanted a coffee.
Because at the end of the day, money is always about more than your balance. Listen to and follow What We Spend, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
This afternoon, expect a temperature of 69 with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
I want to read a text to you guys very quickly. C-Dot, are you saying that Jawaan Taylor is overpaid at his position? Yes. Are you saying that because he makes so much money, the Chiefs trust him? Because regardless of pay, don't you want to put the best player on the field? This is where, at least on social media, I know all of you are not on social media, I would say that maybe I am on the opposite side of everybody else, and I'm trying to look at this the way that I think NFL teams look at it. Jawaan Taylor makes too much money for the Chiefs to give up on him at the beginning of the season. As of now, the only player who has a bigger cap hit this upcoming season than Jawaan Taylor is Patrick Mahomes. Jawaan Taylor accounts for 9.81% of the salary cap. The only player who is going to make more cash this season as of right now than Jawaan Taylor is Trey Smith because he is currently under the franchise tag. The Chiefs have had opportunities to get out from under the Jawaan Taylor deal, and all they've done is dig themselves deeper into the contract. They restructured his deal after the first season. They also restructured it in the middle of the season to go get DeAndre Hopkins. When Jawaan Taylor was still on the roster at the beginning of last season, it fully guaranteed this year for $19.5 million, and he gets a guaranteed $500,000 if he simply shows up to OTAs. They are in this for $20 million for this upcoming season. Now, I know idealistically, you would love to think that the best players play and teams don't care about the contracts. That's not how NFL teams operate. As bad as Russell Wilson was that first year for the Broncos, he got another year because they paid him too much money. The Browns would still be starting Deshaun Watson if he was fully healthy because they've given him all that money to go out there and be the starter. The Chiefs like Jawaan Taylor more than I think fans want to acknowledge that they do. And they've also, at least for this upcoming season, they have tied themselves to Jawaan Taylor in a way that you are not benching the second highest paid player on your team for this upcoming year, especially when, I think if we're talking about it from the on-the-field perspective, I'm not sure if Joshua Simmons is going to be 100% by the time it's time to start playing football. Now, he might be able to go through some of the drills, but we're talking about a guy who had a significant leg injury and missed the second half of his season, and if you were listening to how people feel like he is going to recover, he should be back on the field in August or September. But I don't think he's going to participate in any of the mini camp stuff, any of the rookie camp stuff. I think he's starting this year a little bit behind the 8 ball, but that's fine. You have him for a maximum of 5 seasons. So if he redshirts this year and you get him for 4 years on the back end, that's great at what you gave up. That's great at what you paid. I don't have any problem with them going out and getting Joshua Simmons. In fact, it is in line with what I thought they should do. They were in a unique position that they didn't need to hit a home run this year. They were in a unique position that they didn't need from day one to draft someone that needs to help them in this 2025 season. And where they needed the most help in 2026 and thinking ahead was where they drafted. So whether you think they got a left tackle for next year or you think they got a right tackle next year, it is safe to say that one of their tackle positions is going to become available. One of them is going to be available. Well, now we know who one of those options is potentially going to be with Joshua Simmons, and you also added a 5th-round pick to do it. I'm thrilled about that part of it. Let me play for you guys what Todd McShay had to say. He had very high praise for the Chiefs' 1st-round pick.
Josh Simmons from Ohio State, I've said for most of the year, is the best offensive tackle in the class. And the more I look at it and the more I watch him, the more I'm convinced I was right then. If New England were to take Josh Simmons at 4 overall, I wouldn't even blink. He's that damn good. He is the most gifted tackle in this class. And
this is what I wrote. This was my first line.
It's not even close.
In all caps, most talented offensive lineman in the class, ... not close IMO, in my opinion. Go ahead.
So we agree. I just don't get it. He's that good. The ACL, I think, is the biggest issue here. If we were talking about him, if he had finished the season and he had a run through the playoffs where he played those teams, that they played all those great teams, I think if he had faced them, he would have shown how good he is. This is a guy that's slipping through the cracks for reasons I don't understand. I think when I do my final rankings, he's going to be higher than I think most people have him.
Simply put, I believe that Josh Simmons, I believe in the Brett Veach era is maybe a good way of defining this. I think he's the best offensive line prospect they will ever have the opportunity to get. This is not the kind of player that is usually available at 31. And if he's available at 31, there is usually a reason why that player is available at 31. Now, I can't speak to any of the character things that people are talking about off the field. Like, I can read you some tweets here from people that say that character, immaturity. I can't speak to that. But I do think him not playing the second half of the season, him having the significant knee injury, ended up being a negative for him. It cost him money in this draft cycle. Well, if you're a team like Kansas City and you're looking to get a high-end tackle prospect, you kind of need a player to drop a little bit. And he was the player that just dropped a little bit this year. All in all, I think this worked out perfectly for Kansas City. You still have pick 63. You still have pick 66. You pick up a 5th-round pick, and now you have the opportunity to wheel and deal and maneuver around the board to go fill some of the other needs that I think you had on your roster. So you heard from Todd McShay. You heard from a national voice. Here is somebody who covers Ohio State. We had Chico Boardman on the show a couple of days ago, and we asked him for a scouting report on Josh Simmons.
I think when you look at him, just the size, I mean, 6'6", about 320. He got hurt, obviously, and we'll touch on that a little bit more, but got hurt about 5 games in. But, I mean, CDOT, if he doesn't get hurt, no disrespect to Will Campbell and your boy Membo, who I like a lot, there's a good chance Josh Simmons is tackle one. But he did have the injury. When he transferred from San Diego State, he made that transition from right tackle to left tackle, and sometimes that's not easy to do. For him, it was pretty seamless. So, he's not a mauler in the ground game, but I think if you're looking for just an extremely athletic and just God-given ability and height and weight and all that stuff, he's going to bring that. He's got a good motor. The injury, it's the PCL, so, that's something that the team, I'm sure, is triple and quadruple checked as far as the meds go. But I think he would be I think he'd be a perfect fit for you guys on that left side, left or right side. But I think he's more than capable of filling that bill.
That was Chico Borman talking about the Chiefs' new left tackle or potential right tackle, Josh Simmons. This is from James Palmer, friend of the show. The Chiefs get left tackle Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. If Simmons didn't suffer a torn patella tendon, he would have been the first tackle off the board. I had one team tell me he was the most athletic and talented tackle tape that they watched. There are some maturity issues, but the talent there at 32 is nuts. That was James Palmer. Here is Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He puts out, several teams agree. Josh Simmons had the best tape of any offensive tackle last year, and they aren't very concerned with the recovery on the torn patella tendon. More of the concern is maturity/character, but he is going to the ideal veteran-laden place. These are the kinds of players that when you don't have glaring needs and you do not have an alarm that is screaming, you have to draft this, you are able to take chances on players like this. You're able to go get a player that maybe he suffers with some immaturity, but you're coming to a championship level club. And if that can't wake you up and straighten you out, then you just weren't going to be a good pro. And you're also going to have time to heal, rest, and recover, that we feel like we can get the physicals to where they need to be. This is a player where I think the Chiefs got top 15 value. I think they got that at 32. And if you're looking for a left or a right tackle, that is exactly what you're looking for a team that usually picks in the range that Kansas City does.
Me and you, in a rare twist of fate when talking draft, because we very rarely on the same page, are on the same page here. I think the player is absolutely worth the risk at 32. I also love the fact that you traded out of 31, got a bonus pick for essentially no cost. Like, the Chiefs walked away from last night in a near perfect situation. They have a guy that they think can be left or right tackle of the future. You have a need at potentially left and definitely right tackle of the future following the 2025 season. He is a guy that is definitely boom or bust, but when he was healthy, he's probably not available at 32. It is a perfect situation for the Chiefs. And you're right, I can't speak to the player's maturity. People who do the research on it are saying there's some concerns there. But have we ever had a player in the Chiefs locker room that you felt like, oh, he's just immature? I feel like those guys usually tend to fall in line because it's a good culture and a good situation. So this is an absolute win. The only, pinch of frustration I have, and it's like under 1%, is I don't love first-round picks being redshirt guys. We talked about before the draft, they probably need to walk away with 2-3 starters. After day one, they're 0-4 on starters. But that's just a iota of how I feel. In reality, the good massively outweighs the bad. And Josh Simmons is a perfect fit and a player that, if the situation was normal with his health, he's not available at 32. So win, win, win for Brett Veach and co.
Let's talk about a couple of the quarterback situations that we saw pop up in round one of the NFL draft. Let's start with the Jackson Dart trade that I think the Giants made a really, really smart move. So the Giants move back into the first round and pick Jackson Dart at pick 25. They made that trade with Cleveland. Cleveland picked up pick 34. They also picked up pick 99, so they pick up an additional second-round pick, and they also get a third-round pick just to move down 9 spots in the draft, and Cleveland is still in a position that we'll see how they end up handling those selections. This is nothing if you end up hitting and being right on your quarterback. I think you could get a sense that the buzz was trending towards Jackson Dart being the second quarterback taken in the draft, probably the last, 2 to 3 weeks or so. I've been mentioning it on this show. There has not been a positive Shadur Sanders story in weeks. Draft buzz works in two directions. Sometimes buzz works that it moves a player up the draft. You guys remember when Patrick Mahomes was getting selected, you could feel, hey, he's going to go a little higher than you guys think. Hey, if you want Mahomes, you better make sure that you're picking in the top 12. You better make sure that you're picking in the top 10, or he's not going to be there. In this year's draft, I think you got that sense with Kelvin Banks for the Chicago Bears. Hey, people really like Kelvin Banks. He's not going to be available in the teens. He's not going to be available in the 20s. If you want him, you're going to have to make a jump to the top 10. The same thing happens in reverse. Hey, I don't know about this, man. Teams aren't feeling this player the way that you think. He's potentially going to move down. So I think we saw that in both cases. I think we saw that Jackson Dart has simply moved up draft boards. I think we've also seen the opposite, that Shadur clearly moved down people's draft boards. The Giants handled this perfectly. We're going to take the best player available at 3. And if we think the value is there, and we also think that we can get this quarterback for a lot cheaper than what you usually would have to, I mean, usually this has to cost you $34.99 and a 2 next year, or you potentially got to trade a future 1 to go up to go get your quarterback. You move down 9 spots and all you got to give up is a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. If Jackson Dart turns out to be a starting caliber QB, if he turns out to be a franchise guy for the Giants, this will be the move that defines this year's draft, aside from the trade that we saw with Travis Hunter. Really smart move at quarterback by the Giants.
I mean, the way they managed the board was smart, but do you think Jackson Dart's that guy? Like that's the ultimate end-all be-all for me. The way they handled the draft is smart. You get Abdul Carter, who I think is a really good pass rusher. You might have the best defensive front in football now for the Giants, between Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. Like, that is freak show good. And then you're able to get back into the first round. It's late in the first round, so the cost is less, and you get your quarterback. The question for me, and the question with every draft pick and every trade and every conversation we have at the draft, boils down to this. Do you think Jackson Dart's the guy? Because you watched more SEC than me. I never walked away from Ole Miss games being like, oh, he's transcendent. He's an NFL guy. He's a can't miss. Oh, there was buzz and hype, but when you watch his tape, it's tape watching season. But when I watched him at Ole Miss, I was kind of like, yeah, he's good. And maybe he's worthy of a first-round pick, and you develop him, and there's something there. But I never felt like, oh, Jackson Dart's an NFL-quality franchise starting quarterback when I watched him at Ole Miss, which will be the determining factor. And I have my thoughts and complaints with that player.
I'm going to separate the two things, so I don't disagree with you. I agree with you that I don't see franchise quarterback from Jackson Dart, but I do see some of the physicals that maybe it's there. I do think that Brian Daboll is someone who has a track record of having the ability to get it out of the player. If you're Brian Daboll, this is the first time that they've let you pick your quarterback. You did not pick Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was given to you by management and when you decided to take the job. So if you're Brian Daboll and you're fighting for your NFL life, so to speak, at least when it comes to being a head coach, and I'm guessing if we look on FanDuel, if we look on DraftKings, who is likely to be the first coach that's fired, I'm assuming his name is near the top of the list. You finally give me a quarterback that I like, that I can work with, that I can build up, and the best thing for you from a job security standpoint is to try to win 7 or 8 games this year. Try to win 7 or 8 games. Jackson Dart looks promising, and we are talking about the Giants as the team that in 2026, 2027 can be a possible playoff team. That's one side of it. I would say the other side of it is, given what you spent to go acquire the player, if you miss on Jackson Dart, oh well, draft another one. Because of the rookie cap and because you didn't overpay for this player, if you got to spend a first-round pick on a quarterback next year, oh well. Oh well. If he ends up flaming out and he is Josh Rosen, for example, all right, well then if the Giants get the 3rd overall pick, then go draft your quarterback. So that's why I think the Giants, I don't want to say it's a can't-lose prospect with Jackson Dart, because obviously you lose the 25th overall pick, you lose the other compensation, but you got to keep taking shots at trying to figure out if you have that answer. We saw the Tennessee Titans. They spent the 2nd-round pick on Will Levis. That didn't seem to stop them from making the number 1 overall pick and moving on and going and get Cam Ward. I think it puts the Giants in a very, very similar category to what the Tennessee Titans are, and now you see if it works. But now, with the importance of the position and also the turn and burn at quarterback, at head coach and general manager, hey, if this thing doesn't work, we're all getting fired anyway. Jackson Dart, Brian Daboll, and the general manager. So we might as well draft him. Now, if I'm the Giants, I'm getting another wide receiver. I'm having Neighbors. I'm having another wide receiver. This is a great running back class. I put another running back with Tyrone Tracy, Singletary, and the other options that they got. And I try to give myself a chance to compete possibly for one of those wild card spots. But you got to try to do something this year, or if it doesn't work out, Brian Daboll, I'm telling you, they will fire you, and you will be back to being the offensive coordinator from some team that has a chance of making the playoff. And I ain't talking about the NFL playoff. I'm talking about the college football playoff, because you will be the offensive coordinator at Tennessee next year if this thing doesn't work out. But you at least got to shoot if you're the Giants.
I think it's, like I said, I think it's smart maneuvering by the Giants. The text line right now is varying on Jackson Dart. Some people are calling him Danny Dimes 2.0. Some people are calling him Bo Nix. Some people are calling him Josh Allen. Like, I watched a little bit of Ole Miss. I watched the big Ole Miss games. I didn't watch when they played Kentucky. I didn't watch Ole Miss when they were playing A&M. But when Ole Miss played that game down in the swamp at Florida, you know who was bad that day? Jackson Dart. I watched when Ole Miss had a chance to go to the college football playoff. They were getting hot toward the end of the season. You know what I saw? I saw Jackson Dart fold. I saw him struggle in games down the stretch. I saw a guy who I think has a chance, if you develop him, to be a player, but I don't know that he's in a great situation either, because I think everyone's about to get fired, and now the next regime, if they're picking 3, ain't keeping Jackson Dart. So I think Jackson Dart has a chance to be a good NFL player. I have concerns about the player, but the actual maneuvering, and for the Giants, it's smart. The player I worry about.
Yeah, and this is just maybe where I disagree. Dart won't even play this year. He's going to sit behind Russell and Winston and just observe and maybe start next year. That's always the plan in April. That ain't never the plan once the games start. I can give you too many examples. Sure, there's a Patrick Mahomes. There's a Jordan Love situation. 95% of these guys end up being Justin Herbert. I mean, we didn't plan on starting him, but he ended up being better than we thought, so we started him. Jackson Dart is going to start at some point this season. I've seen enough Russell Wilson to know Russell Wilson ain't good enough to keep that job for all 18 weeks of the NFL season. He is not that good. So at some point, that Giants team is going to be 2-4, and they're going to need a spark. And you know where the spark is probably going to come from? Their rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart. Russell ain't making enough money to hold off Jackson Dart. Neither is Jameis Winston. So I know what these teams say, and that's the plan, and it's going to go that way. They did that same thing with Baker Mayfield. Well, Tyrod Taylor is going to start. Stop it. Tyrod Taylor is going to start for 3 weeks, and then you're going to start the number 1 overall pick. Jackson Dart is going to start at some point before Halloween. He will be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Let's talk about the other quarterback, which was Shadur Sanders, that did not get drafted in round 1. This is where I think the name didn't do him a service, and I also think that we in the media didn't do him a service in this regard. He's a day 2 prospect. I think if you watch him, he is a day 2 prospect. But I get it. His dad's Dion. His dad is the ultimate salesman. He was a polarizing player in college football. He had a good, solid career, and that forced us to over-evaluate him. But that player used to be a second-round pick. Maybe it's because quarterback has gotten so expensive and it's the 5th-year option, and we perceive that to have way more value than I think it does at quarterback. It certainly has value on other positions. I'm not really sure if it has the value at quarterback that it does for those other ones, that it makes it seem like if you're not a first-rounder pick at a quarterback, you weren't good. Well, I mean, just 10 years ago, Derek Carr was a second-round pick. Andy Dalton was a second-round pick. Colin Kaepernick was a second-round pick. Drew Brees was a second-round pick. Like, you used to be able to get decent quarterbacks in that second round, in that third round, and you believe that they could potentially be a starter. That's what I think Shadur is. That's what I think he is. We should have never been having the conversation about him being a first-round pick. When all of the conversations were about his intangibles and about his mental makeup, and it was never about his 40 speed, it was never about his arm strength, it was never about those things, we were telling ourselves the ultimate answer to how this story was going to end. He wasn't going to be a first-round pick. He was never going to be a first-round pick. And I think what we saw as there are some mock drafts that are media-driven. hey, they're fun to click on, they're fun to read. We go on there, we talk about them, and they're fun conversational pieces. And as we get closer and closer to the draft, we start to realize, hey, Mel Kiper's been making phone calls. Todd McShay's been making phone calls. Daniel Jeremiah, this is a prediction business. You want to be able to say that you got these things right. And I don't think the NFL scouts ever felt that way about Shadur Sanders. Certainly not enough to spend the 3rd overall pick on or the 9th overall pick on. He's what Will Levis was. We did the same thing a couple of years ago with Will Levis. Well, Will Levis might go 4th to the Colts. No, he's not. Will Levis is going 37th overall to the Tennessee Titans, and that is exactly what is going to happen with Shadur Sanders. He is a 2nd-round pick, and there's nothing wrong with being a 2nd-round pick as a quarterback. Coming up on the other side, we'll talk about Luther Burden, who was available when the Chiefs selected, and the Chiefs decided to go in a different direction. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
One of the busiest times of the year is here, and Smokehouse Barbecue is going to make things a whole lot easier. Grad parties, Mother's Day, and baseball. For your grad party, you can pick up carryout or have it delivered. Smokehouse also has banquet rooms at each location for your grad party. Bring mom to Smokehouse for Mother's Day and treat her to the best barbecue in town. And if you're heading to a ball game, grab Smokehouse carryout and take it to the game. Check out Smokehouse Barbecue in Independent, Zona Rosa, or Gladstone, and at SmokehouseBBQ.com. It's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-251-5642. 800-251-5642. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-251-5642.
This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Text line 913-586-7965. I've seen variations of this tweet. C-Dot, if Shadur's last name was Manning, would he have been a first-round pick? I think he would have been. I don't think any of that matters. I think that you could argue. I think behind Tom Brady, I think you could argue that Deion Sanders is the second most famous football player alive. I think you could make that argument about Deion Sanders. I don't think that him being Deion's son is a negative. I don't think that Shadur is a first-round prospect. I don't think that he is. I think Shadur will be the 42nd overall pick in this year's draft, and eventually he will have the ability to prove everyone wrong. If you're a second-round pick, you get a chance to start in the National Football League. You get a chance. Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. Eventually, Jalen Hurts got a chance to lead an NFL team, and guess what? They just won the Super Bowl. So, no, I don't think that being Deion's son has been a negative for Shadur. If anything, I think it has been an overwhelming positive for Shadur. I don't think he gets Gatorade commercials. I don't think he's nearly as famous if he is just a regular person's kid. I know. I don't think Shadur is super athletic. I don't think he's super mobile. I think he has a limited arm strength. That's why I think Shadur ended up being a second-round pick. Coming up at the top of the hour, Binkley is going to join us in studio. He was not a fan of the Chiefs drafting Joshua Simmons. Here was his live reaction last night to the pick.
They announced Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State.
I hate this pick, actually. Don't like it.
So that was Bink's reaction. We'll find out why he dislikes the Joshua Simmons pick coming up in just a little bit. I got a little bit of a bone to pick with Missouri fans. And then we're supposed to be on the same team, but sometimes you guys are unhappy with my predictions and thoughts and opinions, and sometimes that's life. What I've seen over the last 24 hours is we have blamed everybody else for why Luther Burden has dropped in the draft. And at no point have we thought, well, maybe Luther Burden is why Luther Burden dropped in the draft. I have been following Luther Burden since he was a sophomore in high school. Like, it was kind of known that, hey, he's going to be the best prospect in the state of Missouri, and Missouri really wants him. He's essentially Dorial Green Beckham. And Missouri has another chance to get the best high school player in the country. So if you're a Missouri fan, you've been following it for some time. There is no question in my mind about the ability of Luther Burden. I think he is one of the most dynamic players in college football when he had the ball in his hand. I think he can help you in special teams. I think he could be a number 1 wide receiver in the league. I think he could be a number 2 wide receiver in the league. I think Luther Burden is a dynamic football player. But I think acting like last year was all Eli Drinkwitz's fault. It was all Kirby Moore's fault as the offensive coordinator. It was all Brady Cook or all Drew Pine. I think you're letting Luther Burden off the hook for some things I thought that were fairly noticeable last year. I thought he quit at multiple points during the season last year. I think once it was pretty clear that Missouri was not making the college football playoff, I think Luther Burden multiple times put his head down and quit on the team. I thought he was in self-preservation mode for basically the second half of the season. Hey, this season isn't going the way that I thought it was going to go. I've already gotten paid, and I know I'm going to the NFL. My number one goal now is to not get hurt. And I thought he played football for basically the second half of the season. I thought he played at like 70% intensity, 80% intensity. I think that shows up in film when you watch him. I also have my questions about Burden. And Rob, you've been here. You've heard me say this for a while. I question Burden's toughness a little bit too. Missouri fans, you know what I'm talking about. How many times was Burden almost hurt during a game? Burden would fall awkwardly, be laying there for 4 or 5 minutes, get up, and you're worried about if Burden's going to be able to continue, and then he comes back 3 or 4 plays later. That happened a handful of times in his college football career. So Burden is going to go in the second round. Burden is a dynamic player. He has a chance of being a very good pro, but we can't sit here and make it seem like Burden didn't play any part on why 4 wide receivers got taken ahead of him yesterday. So we can blame the offense. We can blame Brady Cook. Some of that is on Luther. And as a sophomore, he was arguably the best wide receiver in the country. He was explosive. He wasn't that this past year. And not all of that was the offense. He wasn't the best wide receiver on their team this year. Theo Weiss was. He wasn't the best wide receiver on Mizzou's team this past season. It is not some abomination. It is not some crime. No. Burden didn't have a good year and didn't really put good tape together this past year. Now, it's not going to stop him from being drafted. There is certainly a point where, all right, I'm taking a chance on the ability. I'm taking a chance on the player, and I think someone is going to do that coming up in a couple of hours or so. But I think we have to at least put some of why Luther Burden fell on the draft is because of Luther Burden. And all of the pie chart can't be other sources. It can't be Brady Cook's fault and Drew Pine's fault and Eli Drinkwitz and the offensive coordinator and the Gatorade persons. No, some of why he dropped in this draft and is going to be out of the first round is how he conducted himself for the final 12 to 13 games at Mizzou. I will say this, though, about Burden, and this is related to the Chiefs. It was really exciting to see as we were getting closer and closer to 31 and then ultimately to 32, how open the board felt. I thought the Chiefs could have done 3 things, and I'd have been perfectly fine with any of them. If they had taken a chance on the Burden talent, would have made a lot of sense to me. Burden might be the best player available. If you're just like going off player available, Burden might be the best player available starting today's draft. So if they had taken Luther Burden at 32, obviously wouldn't have been mad. I really like Will Johnson from Michigan. Like, I think he was the best corner in this year's draft class. He certainly was at one point in the college football season. I don't know why he's fallen the way that he has fallen, but I really liked him. And you know I'm big on taking a corner. I'd have been perfectly fine if the Chiefs had gone in that direction in round 1. And I thought at offensive line, I thought Joshua Simmons made a lot of sense. He was a player that you and I mentioned. I think once we came down to it, Rob, there really wasn't that pass rusher for them to go get. There really wasn't that defensive tackle to get. I think it kind of got narrowed down to 3 players that made sense. I also think after they made the trade with Philadelphia, that was kind of it. Like, I don't really think that a team was going up to trade for Shadur. I think all the moves had been done for the day, and the Chiefs were going to make their selection, and they did. They got their offensive tackle for the future.
I think, you know what? I had a similar thought. I was sitting there watching the draft, and I thought the Chiefs can go in a dozen different directions. I actually would have liked Will Johnson the best, but Will Johnson apparently is battling an injury. I was unaware of this, the medical. So it's possible that the Chiefs don't have a first-round medical grade on Will Johnson. But what struck me in that moment was the Chiefs did what every person on the show said the Chiefs should do. Hey, there's depth at defensive line and edge. You're fine to wait. The kid from Marshall, Mike Green, that was a, Mobile superstar at the Senior Bowl. He's still around. The A&M guy, not the, measurables guy, the actual pass rusher from A&M, Nick Scroton, he's still available. So hey, there's good ones around too. They didn't reach for running back. There's tons of good ones still available in round 2. There's defensive linemen available in round 2. We'll wait on those positions because it's good depth. There are not going to be good offensive tackles available in round 2 and round 3, at least the spot the Chiefs pick. So you know what? I appreciate Brett Veach for the first time this offseason positional value won the day because you can get a good edge in round 2. You can get a running back, a wide receiver. You can get those guard. You can get them in round 2. You weren't going to get a quality offensive tackle in round 2. So Brett Veach, very wisely, astutely, for the first time in a long time, said positional value matters. I'm taking the tackle.
Doesn't it feel good for us to be on the same page? Because there was not going to be the value for them to take the swing in the second or third round, not at left tackle. If you were going to take the swing this year on tackle, you were going to take it on who you drafted, or you weren't taking the swing at all this year. And if they had not taken the swing, okay, that's perfectly fine. But the best value, if you wanted them to go offensive line, they got the best possible value that they could without moving up. Now, they could have moved up. And if that's your argument today, hey, I wanted them to go get this, they should have potentially moved up in the draft, sure. But the best possible offensive tackle that was within reason for Kansas City, they drafted yesterday. And you still have your second round pick, you still have your 2 third-round picks, and you picked up a 5th-round pick. Now, go find yourself a corner because you've done really well in that area. Go get your running back if you need. Go find your developmental tackle that you can throw in there. The board is still wide open for Kansas City to go handle what you need to handle in the NFL draft. Coming up on the other side, Binkley is going to join us in studio. Binkley, not a fan of the Joshua Simmons pick. We'll find out why. Keep it right here. So drive.
Hey, it's Lucas Ursig from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with C-Dot on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Gear up, race fans. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend is roaring into Iowa Speedway July 11th to the 13th, featuring the only NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader weekend on the 2025 schedule. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend has become one of the most anticipated and action-packed events in racing. Tickets are going fast. Score yours today and get ready to feel the rush at the fastest short track on the planet. Visit IndyCar@Iowa.com for tickets. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend at Iowa Speedway, the ultimate summer racing event.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start May 14th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
Red Hot Car Giveaway. Only at Harris, Kansas City. Saturday, April 26th, one lucky winner will win a brand new Red Hot Lexus ES350. Harris is giving away $2,500 in free play every 15 minutes from 7 p.m. till 10:45 p.m. At 11, 2 winners will receive $5,000 in free play, and 1 person will win $10,000 cash. And 1 person drives home a brand new Lexus ES350. Visit our website for full details. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You can hit the jackpot when you bet NBA on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. And with the playoffs going, and they also have FanDuel's Downtown Jackpot, where you have a chance to win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. All you have to do is place a bet on player-made threes using your exclusive profit boost. And if your player has the most threes on a night, then you'll win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. That's right. It's simple. They shoot and you score. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Use my promo code FanDuel.com/KFNZ and enter the $1 million downtown jackpot. Make every moment more this NBA playoff season with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Prize pool to be split evenly among all eligible participants who made the correct pick. Bonus issue with novel drama bonus bet required 20 days after street restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Get up with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Take me out to my TV on FanDuel Sports Network. Yeah, yeah. Royals games, announcers, and more Royals games. Did I mention they have the Royals? Stream now.
Hang out with Cody and Gold. Weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
Welcome back into the studio. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here. Rob is here as well. We have a full show today, talking NFL draft from now until 6 o'clock. Very happy right now to be joined in studio by Jay Binkley. He was doing a live broadcast yesterday for the Character Concerns podcast. Binkley lives for the NFL draft. He is going to be on the show for the next 30 minutes to answer some of my questions and also some of your questions. As we recap last night's round one, we also get you ready for the remainder of the NFL draft. Bink, let's just start with this. You do not like the Chiefs' first-round pick in Josh Simmons. Why don't you like the pick?
Yeah, for one thing, not into redshirting players. I don't think they're in position to redshirt players if you watch that Super Bowl and what happened. Two, if that's the position you wanted, I like Ursary, the kid out of Ruskin, who went to Minnesota. In that position, I want a guy that could come in and compete right away, and you don't have these maybe the injury concerns questions. I mean, the dude's squatting 225 now. I think you and Rob and me could go to 225. I mean, that's what Josh Simmons is doing now. But in August, his agent puts out he's going to be ready. We'll see. You just want a ready-made guy right now. The arm length is shorter than what Andy Reid has ever drafted. That's why I was a little bit surprised. And those 33-inch arms, those are shorter arms. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than Tooney's. And Joe Tooney didn't cut it out because of his arm. So I don't get that part. And then, I've heard from so many people, oh, I love the pick. I said, how much Josh Simmons you watch? Did you know he got hurt early October? Did you know that he didn't play through the whole playoff stretch? Did you know he didn't play the national title game? Oh, but he didn't give up pressures. He played some of the best. Who's some of the best edge rushers he played against? Well, he played against Mike Green and Marshall this year. That's one of the best pass rushers. He led the FBS in sacks with 17. Wasn't selected in the first round. I do like Mike Green. He played 2 snaps in that Marshall game against Mike Green where they went head-to-head. I'm just not a fan of it. Now, if you're going to sell me on the fact that it could be that he or Jalen could move over to the right side when Juwan Taylor eventually goes bye-bye for the Chiefs and you got him on the offensive line, I could maybe buy that. I just wanted a guy that could help this team now. I wanted to see him go down the field more. And if Luther Burden was still there, I was thinking, okay, you get Mahomes talking about going down the field more. Andy Reid's talking about spreading the ball out. This team had so many one-score wins. They not need to put points on the board. They need to score, and I get it. On paper, it looks good. Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, they looked good last year. Until what? It looked good in St. Joe. With touchdowns everywhere. It looked good until the first preseason game against Jacksonville. Hollywood Brown's out for the year, basically. It comes at the end of the year, 9 catches. Rashee Rice gets hurt against the Chargers early in the season. He's gone. And he's probably going to get suspended this year as well. So then you better not get an injury at wide receiver. You better not, because you're pretty thin there right now. That's why tonight it's so important to get a receiver, because you got to think of these things. Who's going to get hurt? What if somebody does get hurt? What are we giving for Patrick Mahomes to have weapons to spread out this offense? Everything looks good on paper until you actually go and play. I just felt there was other positions there. And listen, he slid almost out of the first round for a reason. There's people that wanted offensive linemen, and they passed on him. The Chiefs said, okay, let's go forward. Listen, I'm a Brett Veach guy. I love what the guy's done, making contracts, trades, picks. I mean, 2 years ago, he had 21 of his 22 previous draft picks still on the team. There's picks I love. Does he always get them right? No. They didn't get Clyde right. They didn't get that. They didn't get Kingsley right. They didn't get Sky Moore right. Do they get some of them right? Yeah. Everybody gets some of them right. Not all the ones. So I'm putting this in the category of ones I don't like.
Let me ask you this, because it sounds like one of the reasons that you dislike this selection is one of the reasons that I do like it. I don't mind a potential red shirt, and I do think that the Chiefs were uniquely positioned where you addressed it in free agency at left tackle with Jalen Moore, and when you look at the contract of Juwan Taylor, they didn't need a starting caliber left tackle. So if you were telling me that you can take a player who you think had top 15 ability, you could redshirt him, allow him to get healthy, and then plug him into next year, and we'll figure out where he lines up on the offensive line. I think you were uniquely positioned to do that, because I'm with you on wide receiver, but the Chiefs also didn't have a pressing need where you were thinking, man, they got to find a day one impact starter on this position on the field. I don't think they were in that position. So given that knowledge, I do think you're in a spot where you can think a little bit more toward 2026 and you can pencil somebody in who for next year. Now, if you were telling me for some reason there's a setback physically and Simmons doesn't start for you next year, I will be on the same side that you are. But if this thing goes at least according to plan, I really like the fact that you can stash him for this year and then play him next season.
I get it. I respect that. I respect that opinion you, Rob, had on it, on why they made the decision. It's just not where I would have gone. And I likened it to this. I told Cody and Gold this. The Corvette Z06 goes for $135,000. It's got 670 horsepower. All right? That car goes off the lot, gets in a big wreck. All right? The patellar knee injury is a serious injury. Like that, this is not something easy players come back from. The patellar injury is actually a very serious deal. The NFL team's kind of iffy on it. The patellar tendon is not really a injury many guys have crossed. We're going to find out with the Kobe Dean in the Eagles where that goes. But that is not an injury the guys just magically come back, especially when it requires surgery, which this one did. That's a big thing. This isn't an ACL. This is patellar tendon. I mean, this is, as Mitch Holtz said, the whole hubcap of the knee. That's very important. And for mobility and everything on the offensive line. So that's my thing. So you wreck that Corvette, and all of a sudden it's not worth $135,000 anymore. It's worth about $70,000. So you got a value with it by getting it where you did. But is it still as good as when it was new? Is it still as good as being a top 10 tackle? I mean, there's a reason he almost slid out of the first round. And I'm not saying that the Chiefs don't get these things right and other teams do. Hell, they got Trey Smith right and other teams didn't.
Got Creed Humphrey, too.
They got him right. Well, he's second rounder, but yeah.
I get what you're saying.
But as far as injury concerns, because they really have backed away from that in the past, the medicals that come in, except for Trey Smith.
Where did you want them to go? So let's say on your board, Simmons wouldn't have been there for you at 31.
I wanted Harmon or Nolan, to be honest with you. They went way early. Way early. I was thinking, okay, 24, the Vikings, that could be a possible trade-up situation for the Chiefs at 26. It didn't work. I really like Nick Scordon at Texas A&M for an edge. I do think they need to address edge and defensive line, and definitely wide receiver. We had him taking 2 wide receivers in the mock, and running back too. I'd love to see him get a playmaker, an explosive playmaker on offense. Dylan Sampson of Tennessee, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, sits out there right now. And I know that Veach and Reed have said that they want someone that also could be good in the return game. So you look at these running backs and you start marking off the list. All right, who can't catch, who can't pass pro, who can you keep there 3 downs, and who can return? Well, a guy can be valuable in the return game, and then you kind of narrow your list down to what you have. But I'm excited. I think they schooled Philadelphia to get a 5th-round pick. I mean, that part was brilliant. So I did like that for the Kansas City Chiefs. And day 2, it's going to be a lot of fun. This is the best day of the draft, in my opinion, 2nd and 3rd round. And I enjoy Saturday as well because they do a lot of good things in those rounds, the Chiefs do. I just wouldn't have gone here with a guy like Luther Burden still on the board.
So the Chiefs have pick 63. They also have pick 66. They also have pick 95 today as well. what direction would you like to see them go? I want to see them take a running back today.
Same.
Now, if they take a running back at 63, 66, or 95, cool. But I do want to see them take a top 100 pick at running back just because of how deep I think this class is. You've mentioned a couple of them. Let's narrow it down.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 3 running backs you think are a good fit for this system.
One, if you want, get the running back early, unless you want to wait till like the 4th round or something, get a Devin Neal. I do like him in pass pro and his hands and everything at Kansas. DJ Giddens, I thought had a great combine. He showed a lot of home run ability when you watch Kansas State play as far as, finishing to the end zone. Something you waited for Isaiah Pacheco. Be that finisher. Be that guy with that 4.37 speed at the combine that you had. Finish it. And also the tough runs on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 are very important. Basel Tootin is another guy in the mid-rounds I think you can get. Virginia Tech, 4.32 speed. Yes, he's got a fumble problem. That can be corrected. He didn't in the swing passes he had last year. Didn't have 0 drops for Virginia Tech. Had a 29-yard average returning kicks back in 2023 and 2 touchdowns as well. So that guy kind of checks the box for guys that can return kicks as well for them. But Sampson, Neal, R.J. Harvey, I'd throw out there. But Dylan Sampson's the guy I would. Also, since the Ohio State thing is gone now, since they've shown they'll draft those guys, Travion Henderson or Keyshawn Junkins, guys I definitely consider as well.
Yeah, I always think whenever we go into it, well, Veach would never do. We did that same thing at corner, and they took Trent McDuffie. Well, they won't take a player from this. Well, they just took the left tackle from there. I always think that those things, I always think that those things end up falling a little bit silly.
And their 40 times don't matter. Like offensive linemen, 40 times don't matter.
Where do you think there is other great value other than running back? It sounds like you and I are on the same page. Take a running back today at some point.
Yeah.
Where else do you see really good value? Is there pass rush value in this round?
I think so.
Are there cornerback value in this round? Where else could they possibly go if it's not running back?
I think there's definite cornerback value in this in the draft so far, especially running back. I think running back's probably the most loaded still. Edge rusher, I really like a guy like Nick Scorton that's still out there from A&M, led the Big Ten in sacks 2 years ago before he transferred. And for some reason, Texas A&M ruins the guy's career, and the Bengals draft him, but that's besides the point. But Nick Scorton, I really like coming out of Texas A&M. And corners, too. Savon Ravel, a guy that could have been a fringe first-rounder out of East Carolina at corner. I think they can grab him. But I'm pretty excited about what the Chiefs can do the rest of this draft. Don't like the first round, but let's put that behind us.
Right now, we got Jay Binkley joining us in studio. We're going through the NFL draft. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss when it comes to all of this. Why do you think Luther Burden fell out of the first round?
I think some of the things you were saying earlier, because what I tell you 2 years ago, like what frustrated me, Luther got hurt again. And so I'm scrolling Twitter. All right, what's the injury like? Is he coming back in the game? What is it? But there's something about Burden, too, that I liked. Obviously, I think you were on point on some of those things, like as far as the injury concerns and what you have. I will say this, and I don't know if this stuff's made for TV or whatever, but so he went and drafted last night. He goes out there and hits a workout, man. He gets out there at midnight, on the field and runs and works out and does those things. Luther Burden, to me, does show explosiveness. That's why guys like Matt Miller, like Luther Burden so much. It's why Steve Smith, in his evaluations, because I think he does the best evaluations of NFL wide receivers on his podcast with James Palmer, said he's the number 1 slot receiver in this draft, and I still 100% agree with that. He's an explosive playmaker that can make a difference, but I think maybe some of the way he's utilized in Missouri kind of scared people off. And it just started that middle tier. There's that middle tier between those upper echelon wide receivers. I thought he was one of them. I thought he was in there with McMillan, Igbuka. Matthew Golden, I think, is a combine hero. I think that 4.29 speed was whoa. Because everybody was talking about Isaiah Bond with that team last year until Golden goes out and runs that 4.29. Gunnar Helm, the mid-round tight end, actually led Texas in receptions last year. Not Isaiah Bond and not Matthew Golden.
I think sometimes, and I get it, right? And people make this argument whether it comes to people's, Mount Rushmore or, hey, give me your top 5 favorite rappers. Well, the biggest problem is there's only 4 or 5 spots that there can be. So in the first round, we're asking, hey, why did this guy fall? There's only 32 players that can be selected out of the 250-something that are going to be selected. You look at last year, you and I both like Ladd McConkey. You could maybe argue that Kansas City should have took Ladd McConkey at 28. Well, then maybe Xavier Worthy's not a first-round draft pick last year. You then look at a guy like Cooper DeJean. You clearly saw Cooper DeJean had a fantastic rookie year this year and was an impact player in the Super Bowl. He was picked 40th last year.
How about Cooper Kupp that came out leading all of football, every level of yards and receptions? He slides to the third. This guy was a Super Bowl MVP.
That's why I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at these top 10 picks of this second round. That's why I'm looking at a guy like Shadur. All right, Cleveland has the 33rd overall pick. If they take him with the 33rd overall pick, I know he doesn't get the, well, you're not a first-round pick. That's a premium asset and a premium pick that was used to draft one of those kind of players. I think we overreact a little bit when a player falls out of the first round because, again, there's only going to be 32 players that get their name called on day one.
And not only that, but Brett Veach has said it, and other GMs have said it. When he came out on his press conference, said, 12, 13 guys have first-round grades? He changed that a little bit and added like 14 or 15 last night. But that's a consensus around GMs. So that means everybody else has a second-round grade. So that means guys that were taken at the end of the first round are technically second rounders. And I think sometimes there's gamesmanship that goes on at the end of the first round because people want to get the action now and they don't want to wait till today because the day the board completely resets. Teams are moving and shaking. All right, who's got the picks? Cleveland's got 2 picks in the top 4 here in the second round. So teams start to position where you're going and the board really resets itself. But these second rounders essentially are first rounders too, the apple of teams' eyes, where you are. Because at the end of the first round, they were drafted in the first round, but they're not really first-round graded guys by NFL teams.
Yeah, and I think what you see, what happens sometimes is what happened yesterday with the Atlanta trade is a team will be at, or what happened with the Texans and the Giants. Yep. A team will be at 39 or 24. They'll move back a little bit, and they end up picking up a future first-round pick. All right, so I want to give people a chance to ask you some questions. We'll do that coming up in about 10 minutes. Let's get national, and then we'll come back to local, and we'll let people ask you your questions. Give me a couple of teams that you think were winners in last night's draft. Give me a couple of teams that you think were losers in last night's draft.
I think one winner is because they did take 2 selections and did get back into the first round was Atlanta. There was a clear need. They said, we want to get after the quarterback. We want to be one of these teams to get to the quarterback. And when they selected Jalen Walker, and when they got James Pierce Jr., who I love James Pierce Jr., don't think he was really a fit with Spags, but to go and get those 2 edge rushers for Atlanta, I think that was very good. Also, if we look at AFC West, Austin Genty, okay, he goes to the Raiders. He did not run at the Combine, did not run his pro day. So some of that, it could be Xavier Restrepo type speed, where nobody knew about it until he runs at pro day and runs a 4.7 to 4.8, in some of the deals. We don't know.
I understand why Genty doesn't want to do the pro day because he
didn't want a Restrepo slide.
But if I'm Genty, I'm letting I almost won the Heisman Trophy last year. You guys have seen me run. I've gotten more than enough college carries. You should use that to evaluate me as a pro. I understand Genty not wanting to do all of the underwear Olympic drills.
But if we take this and then we look at the Chargers with Hampton. Marion Hampton, I think, was the best back in his draft.
That was one of my favorite picks of the actual.
But Najee Harris got picked up there as well, so he's going to get carries as well with the Chargers. But the AFC West, I think Broncos actually made the best move to help solidify and win the division. Jahdae Barron on the other side of Patrick Surtain. I mean, if you want to stop the elite quarterbacks in this division.
I actually thought they were going running back in round 1, but that might be a team that tries to pick one up later.
They could. There's plenty of good running backs elsewhere, and I thought the same with Denver. But they wanted to say, all right, let's shut teams down. One way to beat a Mahomes and a Herbert and these guys, shut down corners, man. Or Josh Allen in the playoffs, you name it. You go and get Patrick Surtain on one side, Jahdae Barron on the other side. So I think Denver was a complete winner at this as well. I think loser, and even though they picked up a lot of picks, we'll see what they do with them, is I think Cleveland passed it on Travis Hunter. Because I think Travis Hunter, when you look at these draft picks, especially the first round, ends up in Canton, Ohio. And they missed out on that player. So in 15 years, they'll look back and say, man, had a chance to add Travis Hunter to this team. But I love Travis Hunter. I love the way he plays. I think Jacksonville got a home run in that one.
I'm really torn. I love Travis. I think Travis is an incredible prospect. I feel the same way about Travis that you do. I don't know how you turn that deal down if you're Cleveland, though. Like, you got to move down 3 spots and to still get a very, very good player in Mason Graham. You picked up a second-round pick and a first-round pick in next year's draft that could be the pathway, if you're Cleveland, to going to get your quarterback. If
they do it right.
You're saying, if you had 2 first-round pick next year and a much better quarterback class, that could be what gets you out of this Deshaun Watson mess that you have found yourself in. So on one side, I really like the player that they eventually traded away, but I also just, the value you got for moving out of that spot, I think it's really difficult if you're in their spot to turn that trade down.
But they have to make good picks with the selections they get. And that's the big thing. Cleveland
and they probably won't.
And they probably won't. And that's the thing with Cleveland. I am surprised a little bit in the Bears going Colston Loveland. I mean, Colston Loveland a better blocker than Tyler Warren, but Tyler Warren, I think, is the Brock Bowers of this year's draft class. I think they're gonna regret that, because I think he'll put up big numbers with Indy, and they'll go, man, we could have had this guy, and we went Colston Loveland.
I didn't like the Pierce move. I thought that Atlanta significantly overpaid for Pierce. Like, I think they paid 180 cents on the dollar for the player. That's a lot. And I'm not giving up a first-round pick in next year's draft that will be stronger than this year's draft. I'm not giving up a future first-round pick for a player in the 20s in this year's NFL draft. I understand the logic. We want to try to build our pass rush and get after the other team's quarterback. I just think they overpaid for a fine prospect. They didn't overpay for Abdul Carter. They didn't overpay for one of those guys at the top. They overpaid for the 4th or 5th pass rusher in this year's class. I don't like Atlanta's selection.
I don't like the Patriots going Will Campbell. That was one of the ones I didn't like. You talk about short arms. They believe in it, though, because they flew to LSU to talk to Will Campbell here recently. I didn't really wasn't wild to bet that selection. We'll see what happens. I do like Kelvin Banks going to the Saints, though. I do like Kelvin Banks. I think people slept on him a lot. But Buka going to Tampa. What they said is, hey, we're going to kill you with the wide receivers. You know, we're going to come out here, Baker Mayfield, we're going to throw the rock around, and we're going to beat you with wide receivers. So I do like that pick.
Right now, we're talking to Jay Binkley, going through some of the moves in round 1. What do you make of the Giants' move to go get Jackson Dart? I like it, and I'm not a huge Jackson Dart supporter by any means. But what I do like is I like being aggressive to go get your quarterback, and I don't think you overpaid. Like, in hindsight, I guess, of holding it up to the lens, like, the fact that it was cheaper for the Giants to move up to go get their quarterback than it was for the Falcons to move up to go get their second best pass rusher really goes to show you the value that I think the Giants got in all of this. I think to give up a 3rd-round pick and a 4th-round pick to move up 8 spots to go get your quarterback, and we all know how this goes. If you give Jackson Dart 1 or 2 years and it doesn't end up working out, well, all right, we'll just try again, and then we'll try to go find our quarterback. I really like what the Giants did. You go get best player available early on, and then you just wait around, and then when you think the value is there, you go get your quarterback. I like how the Giants played round 1.
I like Jackson Dart. I like it when you continue to make throws to different positions, but you're looking at a quarterback room with Jameis Winston sitting in there and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's probably going to be the starter with that team. I don't think that Brian Daboll can save his job with this group. I always worry about quarterbacks that have to deal with regime changes coming right up, and you're going to see one in New York. Daboll's not long for that job. Matter of fact, I think he'll be the first coach fired in the NFL. We saw it, with the Chargers, until they got Harbaugh. We saw Herbert, bounce around with the quarterback situation. I don't think it's very good in long term. So I think that's going to hurt Jackson in the long run, the fact that he's going to be going through several head coaches.
I also think, though, if you're Daboll, I think this move could potentially save your job. Because I know what the plan is, right? It sounds good. We hear this all the time. Well, the plan is to have the veteran and the young guy. Jackson Dart is going to start before Halloween. And if you show some promise with Jackson Dart and show an ability to turn things around, I think that buys you another year. And I think if we had to make a short list of, hey, give me 5 guys in the league that you think do great with quarterbacks, I think that Daboll is on that list. Now, I'm not saying he's McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Andy Reid. I think he's in that next tier, though. So if Jackson Dart has first-round ability, I think Daboll's one of the few people that can get it out of him.
Well, I think Daboll gets a lot of credit for what he did with Josh Allen. But I will say Josh Allen won the MVP when Daboll wasn't there. When Brian Daboll was with the Chiefs, it was the worst offense we've ever seen. They didn't have a lead 9 weeks into the season being compared to the 1927 Buffalo Bisons. Don't forget, he was the offensive coordinator that 2012 year when they finished with number 1 on the clock. That was Daboll. So I don't know if I 100% will buy into Brian Daboll, fix Josh Allen and all that crap we heard. Because Josh Allen's been just fine without him.
When do you think they developed from being the Bisons to the Bills? Like, at some point, they're like, you know what, we don't want to be the Bisons anymore. We want to be the Bills. When do you think that happened?
I'd like to say when the emergence of Josh Allen, but they can't get over the Chiefs hump in the postseason. Like, they can't get over that hump. That's the team. Like, can they get over that hump? And I don't know.
All right, so let's do this. Coming up on the other side, 913-586-7965. We're going to do random question time with Jay Binkley, but all of these are going to be draft questions. We've got time to ask you your favorite beer and what you're watching on television, but we know you are a draft guy, so if you got a draft question, we're going to go rapid fire here with Bink. We will ask him as many draft questions as we can. We are recapping round 1, also looking ahead to day 2 and day 3 in the NFL draft. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
For the first time in a long time, I'm willing to dream that this can be a special season for the Missouri Tigers.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5 The Fan.
If severe weather hit you last year, don't worry, Century Roofing is here. We have extended our free material upgrade sale on all roof replacements to celebrate our 35th anniversary. We'll provide an in-depth inspection to determine if enough damage exists to warrant filing a claim with your insurance company. See for yourself why Century Roofing has been voted Best of Johnson County for the 3rd year in a row. Press the Pillars of Strength, KC-based and female-owned. Century Roofing, KC.com.
Century Roofing, trust the Pillars of Strength.
When dealing with erectile dysfunction, you want the right treatment for your specific needs. And every case is different, and finding the right solution can make the difference between okay and amazing. That's why Heartland Men's Health is Kansas City's leader in treating men's sexual health issues. ED can cause anxiety, stress, and a strain in your relationship, yet many men suffer silently without seeking treatment. Intimacy is one of life's greatest experiences, but ED can completely destroy it. Heartland Men's Health offers treatment when herbs and pills don't work. With success rates of over 90%, some treatments can help you last an hour or more. So why settle for good enough? Your first visit is just $99, which includes a medical consult, a T and PSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work, then your visit is on the house. Heartland Men's Health has 3 locations to serve you in the metro: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City. Pick up the phone today and change your life. Call this number, 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com today.
It's the final days of Diamonds Direct's annual spring sale. This is your last chance to get an extra 20% off our already renowned prices. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off your purchase. But hurry, these savings end soon. And this weekend only, we're open Sunday to give you an extra day to shop our expanded selection of trending engagement ring settings, his and hers wedding bands, must-have fine jewelry, and more. Time is running out. 20% off, store-wide savings. Visit diamondsdirect.com for details.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. Tonight in the pro basketball playoffs, the series between Minnesota and the LA team in purple and gold moves to Minnesota, tied at 1 apiece. Minnesota, about a 3.5-point home favorite tonight, the total sitting at 206.5. Now, if you like Minnesota in the game, and I do, maybe this goes down to 3, and you could bet Minnesota -3, but even at 3.5, I do like Minnesota, and I like Minnesota on the money line to win this game as well. Good job by LA in Game 2 being physical with Minnesota. I don't think they can do that again. Give me Minnesota laying the points, Minnesota to win tonight against LA. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and take your game to the next level with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Whether you're digging a pond, clearing brush, grading property, or doing demo, Foley Equipment, your local Caterpillar dealer, is your one-stop shop. Buy or rent, Foley Equipment has the machines you need to get the job done. And right now, Foley has 0% financing on new cat skid steers, mini excavators, and compact track loaders. Stop by any Foley Equipment location today or visit us at FoleyEQ.com. That's FoleyEQ.com.
At Lowe's, pros save big on the supplies you need to get the job done. With the new My Lowe's Pro Rewards program, get member-only deals every week and access to free standard shipping. Plus, members earn points toward exclusive rewards. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. Program subject to terms and conditions. Free standard shipping not available in Alaska and Hawaii. Exclusions and more terms apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Febreze.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Have you tried hands-free Skechers slip-ins yet? Because if you haven't, you're missing out on technology that changes how you think about shoes. First, these are not just regular slip-on shoes. They're not just a pair of loafers without laces. But what makes them different is the technology inside that lets you just step into them. There's a built-in hidden shoehorn that slides your foot in, so they look, feel, and wear just like a pair of shoes you're used to. Except you don't have to bend down, struggle to put them on, or touch them. Try them at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Tonight, expect a low of 51 with mostly cloudy skies.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
There's a 2-car crash northbound 35 just past 18th Street Expressway. A few slowdowns coming up on it. And also slow into downtown northbound 71 and northbound 35. Seeing brake lights out of the 435 and 70 exchange as well, eastbound 70. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
All right, we're going to go rapid fire through some of your questions with Binkley. Coming up on the other side, I'll tell you some things I liked and disliked about round 1 of the NFL draft. We'll also look ahead. We got Mitch Holtz coming up on the show, coming up in 30 minutes. Happy to catch up with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. What range do you think Luther Burden will be drafted today?
I think he could be gone the first 10 picks of the second round. So the first 10 picks of round 2, I think that Luther Burden goes.
I'm looking at the teams that are selecting around that area, and these are the teams. So it's Cleveland, Houston, Tennessee, Cleveland. So Cleveland has the 33rd and 36th pick. Vegas, New England, Chicago, and New Orleans. Those are the teams that pick 33 through 40. Cleveland having those 2 second-round picks, I think, makes a lot of sense. I also could see a scenario with Tennessee. You went out and you got Cam Ward. Now you go get who you think is the best receiver on the board at 35.
And New England keeps trying for receivers every year in free agency. So I could see definitely Drake May with Luther Burden.
Another team that just desperately needs skill position players. The one thing that New England doesn't have, they just don't have a lot of explosiveness. A couple people have asked what the Chiefs need to do. It's just not realistic to think that the Chiefs are going to be in Luther Burden range. They're at 63 and 66. They're not moving up to 37 to go get Burden. They had their chance to go get Burden. They chose Joshua Simmons.
And the good thing, too, is you get that extra pick they can play with, plus they can look at next year's picks as well. I think the Chiefs will stand pat. I love where they sit having 63 and 66. I love the fact that they can identify players, turn around, get 63, and then, hey, 66 is right around the corner as well. I love this Chiefs in that situation.
Where do you think the Ohio State running backs get selected?
Well, I think
I actually thought there was a chance that Henderson got drafted in round 1.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson, I would put is probably the best running back still there. Then Travion Henderson, just right behind him. Then Dylan Sampson, kind of in that area. Judkins as well. And Chiefs do like SEC players. Keep in mind, Judkins did play there at Ole Miss before he transferred to Ohio State, so like him too. Cam Scadaboo sitting out there, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens. There's a lot of good running backs, but I do think that Travion Henderson is probably gone before the Chiefs pick, because I think there's going to be a run at some point on the running backs. I think teams are going to panic and start grabbing them.
Do you think that a quarterback gets selected today? I actually don't think a quarterback gets drafted today.
I think Shadur does.
Oh, okay. Other than Shadur, my apologies. I forgot about Shadur. Let me go back then. I think Shadur gets drafted today. I don't think we see Will Howard or Kyle McCord or any of those guys get selected outside of today. Do you think there's a quarterback after Shadur gets selected? Do you think there's another second round or third round pick in this crop?
I don't. Quinn Ewers should be, but remember, it's funny how this far as this guy's fallen. Remember watching that Xavier Worthy tape last year? Like people went in and they watched the YouTubes of Worthy and how many times he had to sit there and wait on the ball for Ewers to deliver. But he'll be a mid-round guy. Will Howard thinks he's, I think, much better than he actually is with some of the things that he's talking, some of the comments. But no, I can see just one quarterback.
I think Will gets hold on. You guys don't think Tyler Shuck's getting picked tonight? Like Tyler Shuck, there is draft buzz. The kid from Louisville that he gets picked tonight.
7 years,
think he's that good, but
7 years in college football, always injured. But yes, you're right. He's a lot of buzz, but buyer beware on Tyler Shuck.
7 years.
7 years.
They call those people doctors.
He was in the 2018 recruiting class.
Yeah, he's been around for a minute. He's played at like every school too. Jalen you know what? Jalen Milroe. I think Jalen Milroe will get drafted.
Yeah, now that I asked the question,
Milroe will be.
And now we name more quarterbacks, Jalen Milroe will get selected.
Jalen Milroe, he's up there at the draft, isn't he? I mean, or he decided not to.
I think a team is going to see what Jalen Hurts did and see the physicals with Jalen Milroe and think that they can do something very similar.
The one thing that bothered me about Milroe, and I love the kid coming into this year, but you watch Alabama and you sit there and you're texting your friends or whatever saying, man, Milroe can't hit anything, man. I mean, he got to the point where it was just miss after miss. And then his hands magically grew from the Senior Bowl to the Pro Day half an inch. So it's weird that happens.
Right now, if you guys have a question, 913-586-7965. Be sure to ask a question. We are doing random question time with Jay Binkley. Just want to get his thoughts and opinions on all things NFL draft. I'm looking at Cleveland here with these two picks. They have the 33rd overall pick and the 36th overall pick. Cleveland's got a chance to. I know they don't have the quarterback position solved right now, but I think they've made a lot of smart moves these last couple of days. They picked up the first-round pick. I think the best thing for Cleveland to do is this. Come away with Kirk Cousins at some point between now and the beginning of the season. I think you have the ammunition for next year's draft that you need to use next year's draft to go target your quarterback.
You don't think that'd be explosive with Flacco? Cousins.
No, I don't think they'll be
like anybody.
I don't think they'll be super explosive this upcoming season. I think that Cleveland needs to be bad again, get a top 5 pick next year. You also got another first-round pick. You can go get your quarterback next year, then go best player available, and get out from under this Deshaun Watson contract.
And they're picking third in the third round right behind the Chiefs. That third round, you get the Giants, the Chiefs, then the Browns in the third round as well. So they get some premium picks coming up.
Do you think the Chiefs make their selections at where they currently are at 63 and 66? Because I actually think they make the 63rd pick where they are. And I've just always felt like there's a lot of flexibility with that Titans pick. I think the Chiefs would love to continue to add picks in the 5th round because they don't have any right now. So I could see them going from 66 to 71 and picking up another mid-round pick and still getting a player that obviously they really like.
It could happen, but honestly, you look at Veach and kind of his history at 2nd, 3rd round, that honey hole for the draft is, the hot spot for the draft. I think that's very alluring, picking those picks real close like that in the 2nd and 3rd round. So I think that's really attractive to the Chiefs. Because let's say they don't get exactly who they want at 63. Well, at 66 they can. So you throw a couple players out there, and I think they'll get a couple. I think this could be a very big night for the Chiefs.
Going back to the first round, who was your player that you think got drafted in the ideal fit?
Oh, ideal fit?
Yeah, I'll give you mine.
I would say Johnny Byrne to put on the opposite side of Patrick Surtain, especially in this division. When you look at this division, hey, you got to stop Mahomes in this 9-year straight AFC West title run that they're on. One way to do it's either pass rusher or corner. And I think Denver did the right thing. Not getting a running back like the Raiders and the Chargers. Sure, that's a lot of flash. That'll sell some tickets. But I like what the Broncos did better.
I think the Ravens just had a Ravens draft. Every year, the Ravens make one pick. It'll be Kyle Hamilton. You'll think to yourself, of course that was going to work. That's obviously
You're talking about Malachi.
Malachi starts at 27. He will be a Pro Bowl player in the next 3 years.
Malachi Starks, a hard hitter, ball hawk with 6 picks as well from the safety position, almost 200 tackles. The guy's incredible.
Why do you think Will Johnson hasn't been drafted yet? Because he was a guy that if you go to the mock draft after the college football season was over, he was maybe the best corner available. Now he's not drafted in round 1. Why do you think he fell?
It's hard to say with Will Johnson. He's a taller corner, too. He's over 6'2", over 200 pounds. I'm a little bit surprised by that because the guy that can slot back to the safety position as well, especially the way Michigan guys went. I mean, Michigan guys are really valued in this draft. We talked about Colston Loveland getting picked before Tyler Warren. People love the Michigan players. I don't exactly know that with Will, why he's slidden so far, but it's weird that Will's still available.
Text line 913-586-7965. Seat out. Where do you think Devin Neal will be available?
Probably 4th round. I would think Devin Neal will be available.
And Giddens, probably in that same range?
Yeah, DJ Giddens. I like DJ Giddens maybe a shade better than Devin Neal. But Devin Neal's a good 3-down back. I mean, Devin Neal's just fine in what he does. I think Devin Neal's good. Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, and Dylan Sampson, I think the 3 best running backs still available. Then Keyshawn. And Devin Neal kind of in that category with R.J. Harvey and DJ Giddens.
That is our guy, Jay Binkley, joining us in studio, going through day 1, 2, and 3 of the NFL draft. Binkley will be on the show on Monday. We'll take a look at all of the selections that the Chiefs make. Bink, man, I appreciate you, man.
Chris and I have 6 hours live coverage right at 11 o'clock, right when the draft starts on Saturday. So we got the rest of the draft, 6 straight hours of draft coverage.
Absolutely. That is our guy, Jay Binkley, joining us in studio. Coming up on the other side, I'll tell you what I liked and disliked about round 1. That's coming up. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison, your home for the best food takes in KC.
Regular old American nachos. You know, I don't need jalapenos with mine, just chips, cheese.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5 The Fan.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Your life, your goals, your legacy. With a dedicated Fidelity advisor, it's all part of a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Royals coverage sponsored by Park & Go, the best deals on airport parking.
Step up to the plate and hit a home run with KC's best airport parking. It's Park & Go. Great service, low price, zero hassle, open 24/7, and all spots are covered. Don't get caught looking. Strike 3. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com.
It's the final days of Diamonds Direct's annual spring sale. This is your last chance to get an extra 20% off our already renowned prices. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off your purchase. But hurry, these savings end soon. And this weekend only, we're open Sunday to give you an extra day to shop our expanded selection of trending engagement ring settings, his and hers wedding bands, must-have fine jewelry, and more. Time is running out. 20% off, store-wide savings. Visit diamondsdirect.com for details.
Hey, baseball fans, there's no better place to bet the long ball than BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Swing big on your home run bet with BetMGM's Home Run Boost token. No opt-in is required. Just log in to your BetMGM account to receive your Home Run Boost token. Then activate your token when you place a bet on any player to hit a home run. If that player goes yard, you'll score a bigger payout. No matter the showdown, BetMGM is the best place to bet the long ball. Don't miss your chance to claim your MLB Home Run Boost token. The action is on deck at BetMGM, the king of the big swing. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 1 to 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start May 14th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunkt Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Seeing some slowdowns happening eastbound 435, starting at 69 Highway. They are off and on through about Mission Road. And some slowing happening out of the 435 and 70 exchange. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Hey Kansas City, it's Bobby Witt Jr. Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, welcome back into the show. Coming up at the top of the hour, we are going to be joined by Mitch Holtz, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Really excited to get his thoughts on Josh Simmons, the newest member of the Kansas City Chiefs. Kirk Herbstreit said yesterday during the broadcast that Ryan Day, who's the head coach of Ohio State, told him that he believed Josh Simmons had made the decision to come back to school. He believes that he would have been a top 5 pick in next year's NFL draft. A lot of people are very, very high on his ability. Todd McShay, who has been doing this for a long time, he called Josh Simmons the most talented offensive tackle in this class.
Josh Simmons from Ohio State, I've said for most of the year, is the best offensive tackle in the class. And the more I look at it and the more I watch him, the more I'm convinced I was right then. If New England were to take Josh Simmons at 4 overall, I wouldn't even blink. He's that damn good. He is the most gifted tackle in this class. And
this is what I wrote. This was my first line.
It's not even close.
In all caps, most talented offensive lineman in the class, ... not close IMO, in my opinion. Go ahead.
So we agree. I just don't get it. He's that good. The ACL, I think, is the biggest issue here. If we were talking about him, if he had finished the season and he had a run through the playoffs where he played those teams, they played all those great teams, I think if he had faced them, he would have shown how good he is. This is a guy that's slipping through the cracks for reasons I don't understand. I think when I do my final rankings, he's going to be higher than I think most people have him.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Mitch Holtz, voice of the Chiefs. We'll get his thoughts and his opinions on Josh Simmons, who is the newest member of the Chiefs. Let me give you a handful of things that I liked about round one. Let me give you a handful of things that I disliked. Number one, the purpose of the draft to me is to go to cities that cannot host the Super Bowl. It's for your Detroits. It's for your Kansas Cities. It's for your Green Bays. And yesterday, if you wanted why they moved the draft around, for Mark Murphy, who is the CEO and president of the Green Bay Packers, for him to go up there and make the announcement that the Packers are drafting a wide receiver and to see the level of excitement and enthusiasm, they let Matthew Golden cut a WWE promo on. I can't ever think of a time in which they let a drafted player talk at the main podium. It was the perfect moment. The perfect moment. I hope that the league sees that and understands how important the draft is to those communities. New York gets a lot of stuff. LA gets a lot of stuff. Vegas gets a lot of stuff. That's not what the draft is for. The draft is for your Nashvilles. It's for your Kansas Cities. It's for your Green Bays to have that moment, to see your team select a player and the hope and enthusiasm that he could be something special. That first Lambeau leap from Matthew Golden is going to be different. It's going to be special. I thought that was by far and away the best moment of night one of the NFL draft. Let me get to what I don't like. Now, I love the schedule release as much as anybody. It's fun, right? It's fun to know when the games are and know where this road trip is, and these games are difficult. It's fun, right? You know what I never need them to do? I never need them, while making announcement, to make an announcement about an announcement. If you're going to stop the NFL draft to make an announcement about the schedule, tell us who the first game of the season is then. Tell us the first game of the season. That gives us something to genuinely be excited about. Oh, snap, it's Eagles and Lions game one. That's something to be enthused about. We stopped the NFL draft to have people from NFL Network go up there and tell us that the schedule is coming out. We know the schedule is coming out. You couldn't have given us nothing? While making announcements, they made an announcement about an announcement. It was stupid. It was dumb. Next time you do that, just give us the first game of the season. That's it. I don't know if that's asking a whole lot. This stuff gets leaked anyway. It's not like we don't have any clue of the schedule until they tell us the schedule. For a week leading into it, all we get is leaks from various people. Then they leak the schedule themselves, and they'll go on Good Morning America to tell us the first game. Just do it right there. One thing I do think you notice about the draft, and I love the draft, so I understand that I'm being critical of something that I'm not going to do anything about. You realize how much standing around and waiting the draft is. When you watch it like that, and it hits that lull where there's not a lot of trades, and it's just a lot of standing around. And then I know that you guys feel the same way that I feel. They say the pick is in. I'm ready for you to announce the pick. But no, we got 6 more minutes of doing all this other stuff. Like, just go up and tell us who the pick is. The NFL draft could be done in an hour and a half. But it's 3.5 hours because of all the nonsense that they have us sit through. Just a lot of nonsense. I know I'm old guys screaming at a cloud. I'm perfectly fine with that. I thought the Falcons gave up way too much to go get James Pierce. You guys know I'm big on positional value, and there's certain things that matter, and I'm all for getting it. How did the Giants get a quarterback cheaper than you guys got a pass rusher? Like, the Giants, A+, 2 thumbs up. And I don't even love the pick, but I love the idea. I love the gall of the trade. I love the value of the trade. The Falcons just continue to show us that they don't look at the draft the way that other teams look at the draft. I don't think any other team would have selected Michael Penix last year when they took him. I also don't think there's another team in the league that would have made the trade for James Pierce, not at that price. There are not many players in this year's draft class that I would have traded a first-round pick next year for in this class. It just wasn't that kind of draft. And yeah, if you're going to do that for Travis Hunter, sure. Because Travis Hunter would have been a top 5 pick in next year's draft too. You did it at the back half of the draft for James Pierce? Okay. I mean, they clearly were, they want to solidify their defense. I get it, but I just didn't really think that made a lot of sense. And that's just not what I would have done. Honestly, it's not close to what I would have done if I was them. I would not have done this. You know what? I really, really like what Tampa Bay did. I love Emeka Egbuka. He's one of those guys that I think has been in college for so long and has played with so many other good receivers that I think we've forgotten how good he is. That now, if you're Tampa Bay, you have given Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, who was one of the best rookie running backs in the league last year. You have given him Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka is your number 3 option in Tampa Bay? For a division that always feels like it's up for grabs, for a conference in which you look at Philadelphia as the favorite, the Lions as the second favorite, people are going to be really high on the Commanders coming into this year. You got to tell me why Tampa Bay is not at least in that conversation. When they had a healthy Baker Mayfield and a healthy Mike Evans, Tampa was one of the better teams in the league last year. Now you give them even more firepower, more weapons. I really like what Tampa Bay did. I think the Colts got maybe the best value of any team in round 1, getting Tyler Warren at 14 to pair them with their young quarterback and Anthony Richardson. I think that Tyler Warren was a top 10 talent. Now, he went 14. He didn't fall too much further, but I think that's great value for them as well. And we talked about it earlier. I mean, the Ravens they're the Ravens. Malachi Starks will be in the Pro Bowl in 3 years. We know. We have this answer. We know. Malachi Starks will be in the Pro Bowl. Really good college player, goes to a defense and an organization that they just have such a high track record at these kind of picks and players. Malachi Starks will be an impact playmaker from day one. That is just a really smart decision by the Baltimore Ravens. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll be joined by Mitch Holtz, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, to recap round 1 and also look ahead in the NFL draft. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic brought to you by Midwest Auto Services. Slowdowns, eastbound 70 out of the 435 exchange, and eastbound 470 as well from Blue Parkway to about Struther. Is driving your vehicle like fighting a wild bull? Does it lead, pull, or feel out of sync when you accelerate or brake? Are you replacing tires a lot due to poor wear? Let Midwest Auto Services check your alignment. Call 816-224-4247 or MidwestAutoservices.com. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Your life, your goals, your legacy. With a dedicated Fidelity advisor, it's all part of a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey there, Kansas Lottery here. And we want to get together for a game or two. Meet us at your favorite retailer or wherever you like to buy your tickets, and we can let the games begin. There's a lot of fun and cash on the line. See kslottery.com for details.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
Storm season 2025 is here. Get peace of mind on the health of your roof and make Century Roofing your first call. We have extended our free material upgrade sale on all roof replacements. Get a Class 3 or 4 impact-resistant shingle for the same price of the standard 30-year or premium shingle. Save on your insurance premium and see why we continue to be voted best of Johnson County. Trust the Pillars of Strength for 35 years. KC-based and female-owned. Century Roofing, KC.com.
Century Roofing, trust the Pillars of Strength.
Buckle up and hang on, this is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together, so close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts, beer, and barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time. And you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Whether you're digging a pond, clearing brush, grading property, or doing demo, Foley Equipment, your local Caterpillar dealer, is your one-stop shop. Buy or rent, Foley Equipment has the machines you need to get the job done. And right now, Foley has 0% financing on new cat skid steers, mini excavators, and compact track loaders. Stop by any Foley Equipment location today or visit us at FoleyEQ.com. That's FoleyEQ.com.
I'm sure everyone says this, but my mom really deserves the world. This year, I finally found a Mother's Day gift that comes close. She loves Hellsberg, so I'm getting her these timeless gold earrings she can enjoy for years to come. They feel special enough to show how much I truly appreciate everything she does for me. And I mean everything. I even sent my dad a link to the Diamond Eternity band he'll be getting her, too.
Save up to 50% on Mother's Day gifts Mom will cherish forever. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in Kansas City. With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
When it comes to buying a car, simple wins. Rob Sight Ford has the inventory, the trade values, and the non-commissioned team that puts you first. No pressure, just 4.8 stars on Google for a reason. ROBSIGHT.com.
Kansas City, this is Michael Massey. Listen to the play-by-play all season long with Denny, Jake, Ryan, and Stu right here on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey Sports Station.
We're very happy right now to be joined by Mitch Holtz, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to join us coming up momentarily. Really excited to get his thoughts on Joshua Simmons as the Chiefs select an offensive tackle in round one. Let me play for you guys what Brett Veach had to say. I'll also play for you guys what Andy Reid had to say, and then we'll hear from Mitch Holtz. Here's Brett Veach.
We did a ton of work on Josh. I think everyone knows, when he's healthy and the tape he had early on last year before the injury, I mean, it puts him up there in the upper echelon of, what he could be and a future starter and difference maker at left tackle.
That was Brett Veach. Here's Andy Reid on their first round selection last night.
Josh, we felt was a phenomenal athlete. Would have been a higher pick, obviously, if he hadn't been hurt. Rick Burkholder has done a bunch of work on him, and he's in a good place. He's flexible where he can play any spot, but we felt like he was a true left tackle there.
That was Brett Veach and Andy Reid both commenting on Josh Simmons. You heard from two voices of the Chiefs. Let's hear from the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mitch Holtz joins us on the show today. Mitch, happy to have you join us today. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, C-Dot. Excited. I'm like I told Fesco and Dusty this morning,
I'm as excited about tonight as I was yesterday. There's a real chance today, but getting Simmons where they got him at the last pick and being able to get a 5th round pick and moving down one slot, I thought was awesome. Now we'll see how Simmons does in his injury rehab. That's a difficult one to come back from with a patella tendon injury, and it was October the 12th when he got hurt. But yeah, so excited there, and plus excited about tonight and tomorrow. The Chiefs are in a good position here.
Maybe this question got answered and I just missed it. I am curious on why Philadelphia made that trade to move up one spot. I didn't see a scenario in which Kansas City was taking a linebacker at 31. It feels like that player would have been there for them at 32, and they wouldn't have had to given up the 5th round pick. But what's done is done. They move up one pick in the draft to go get the player that they really like. I'm just surprised given what I deem Kansas City's needs to be.
See, I think I've learned today that they did it because they were scared the Chiefs would trade out of that pick and someone would take the Alabama linebacker ahead of the Eagles. And they had 4 5th-round picks. So it was win-win. It was insurance for Philadelphia. It wasn't that the Chiefs were going to take that guy. It was that somebody would jump the Eagles, trade with the Chiefs, and take that guy. But the Chiefs are like, okay, we'll go one, still get the guy you want. You move back one, and you get a pick in the 5th where you did not have a pick. And you can stay right there. We've talked earlier how this draft is deep, and you're going to get, potential starter. You could get 2 potential starters tonight and maybe one tomorrow. But getting that 5th pick also gives you equity if you want to move up tonight. Because there's a guy, I put it on Twitter today, there's a gob of players on this board that are really good that could be potential starters next year.
Right now, we're joined by Mitch Holtz, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, getting his thoughts. I do want to move forward to today, but let's go back and get his opinion. Josh Simmons was one of the players that I kind of circled as a possibility for them at 31. What I really like about this is I'm not sure if too many times the Chiefs will have the opportunity to get this caliber of an offensive line product. Just given where they select, you usually don't find starting potential left tackles or right tackles at 31. But the fact that the Chiefs have him, they can kind of redshirt him this year and bring him along slowly because you have Jalen Moore and because you have Juwan Taylor on the other side. This just felt like the right time to take this swing as a player because they don't have a pressing need heading into this draft.
I would agree emphatically. And I'm not throwing Wanye out. I think Wanye Morris, if he attacks the spring and summer, be a swing tackle at the least. Okay, but if you're going to pick 31, 32, or anything really below 20, and you're going to get a potential starting left tackle that would cover 2 contracts, it's going to have to be some injury issue. It's going to have to be something just like this, where teams will pass on him. If he wouldn't have got hurt, he would have been, I would think, the first tackle taken off the board, maybe Banks, but I think that it would have been Simmons. I mean, that was generally the thought coming into the 2024 season, and he was playing at a high level 5 games into the year, and then he gets hurt. But if you go back and look at his video, he's very athletic. Coach mentioned that. But think about what Coach in this offense demands of all 5 offensive linemen. They have to be able to move. They use their tackles, and they, in essence, pull them, not only in runs, but in screens and disguise screens very well. You've got to be able to move. And that's why some of the tackles are still on the board that Chiefs didn't take, is that they have to have mobility and athleticism and the ability to work in concert with the rest of the 4 guys in the offensive line. Let's just take a hypothetical here, and you mentioned the guys, they don't have to have him right away, and I do think this is a bit of a futuristic pick in Josh Simmons because of the injury. But let's say Simmons does hit. He becomes the guy that everybody thought he was going to be before the injury, and Suamaitea becomes a guard, and he's a really good guard. And now you got Creed. You're going to do a long-term deal with Trey, and then you let right tackle work itself out between Moore could move over there, or you've already got you've already got 2 guys over there that are there, basically. So you could have an offensive line that was set for at least 3 years and maybe even longer because you got Juwan Taylor there along with Wanye.
Yeah, and to me, that's the real value of this thing more than anything, that if you are playing this thing out just a bit and You look at left tackle. Let's say that Jalen Moore has a fantastic season and it proves to be an every down 17-game, 18-game starter at left tackle. Well, this seems like a good position to be in. You either keep Jalen Moore at left tackle and you move Josh Simmons over to right tackle in 2026. You either put Josh Simmons at left tackle and you move Jalen Moore over to right tackle, and he's proven that he can be an every down starter. Like, this just gives the Chiefs options and flexibility at a position where, at least last year, they were really having to figure some things out on the fly. And I think that this move, they kind of get out in front of, if something goes wrong, they have a couple of different things that could happen.
To back up that point, watch his San Diego State video. He played 13 games at right tackle, Josh Simmons, for San Diego State, and it's good video. And the way they used him was he's out in the edge and space a lot, but they also moved him. He was on the move there. And so this guy had 13 starts at right tackle with San Diego State, 13 very good starts after he transfers at Ohio State. That's what set him up for the 25 draft, thinking going into the 24 season, this is the guy. And then he breaks his patella tendon in game 6, I believe, of the season, and then that's it. So that leads us to this point. But if you take that scenario and think it all the way through, you've got real potential here, with a super high ceiling that this guy could be your left tackle or a right tackle, but hopefully your left tackle for a long time.
Right now, we're talking to the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holtz. Mitch, let's take a look ahead for just a little bit. I really want them to take a running back today. I love this running back class. I look at the running back room that they have, and there's not a lot of investment into the future. And I think you have an opportunity with either 63 or 66, or maybe you wait until 95. You got a chance to get a really talented running back for the next 4 years at a very, very cheap price. I really want them to take a running back at some point today.
Well, I'm with you. And the running backs, a couple of them have fallen. When only 2 go, we knew Genthy was going to go high, and now he's in the division. But the other, Hampton, is also in the division as Marion Hampton goes to the Chargers. But that pushed down the 2 Ohio State running backs. Travion Henderson is still on the board, and, he split time with Judkins, but maybe arguably the best 1-2 punch and one of the reasons they won the national championship. But there are other guys down the line who I think have real potential. At the least, I would love to get a third down back, which is a speed back. And a Tootin of Virginia Tech is like a high 4.3 guy. Jaden Blue of Texas is another guy that I think could be a third down type back speed guy. Then you got the power guys, Caleb Johnson of Iowa, and then Scatterbo, who I love from Arizona State. Scatterbo, if you look at, let's just take against the local teams, he took the game over against K-State. Like, he's my ball, you're done. I'm just going to take this game over. He kind of did the same thing to KU. And so he's not a third down back as much as he would be like a power support type back, but he's not void of being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he's a red zone monster potential in the NFL. So I like him. Tootin of Virginia Tech I like because you've got some skill. Then there's the kid from SMU that used to be a wide receiver, Brashard Smith. And SMU turned him from wide receiver to running back. Again, great ball skills, as you might guess. And he has ability to run angles and circles and get mismatches against linebackers. And then I love the 2 local guys. Devin Neal, who played at Lawrence High and was KU's all-time leading rusher, I think is going to be an outstanding pro. And I said that 3 years ago. And when I saw DJ Giddens play for the first time, I saw him live against Oklahoma State when Oklahoma State got beat 48-0 by K-State. And Giddens was like, who is this guy? A 0-star recruit out of Junction City. I go, he looks like an NFL back. Well, last year, actually the year before, when Deuce Vaughn goes to the Cowboys, Giddens takes over and puts the team on his back. So these guys are all names, to your point, that are sitting in there. And they could be sitting in there for sure at the end of the third and maybe even into the fourth, where you're going to get a guy at the very least who becomes a complementary back or even potential a guy that I would love. I want the youngest version of Jerick McKinnon that you can find.
They have their offensive tackle right now. You and I are on the same page about running back. Those are 2 areas of need for this team. Outside of that, I'd like to see them potentially pick up an edge rusher, a developmental type. Maybe they pick up a defensive tackle because they lost Wharton and they kind of can develop somebody there. The good thing about this draft is the Chiefs just aren't pressed to do anything. So you really can go best player available and just keep taking good players, keep drafting, keep developing them, and keep turning them into quality starters.
If I'm still zeroing in on defensive tackle. I want a starting defensive tackle. If we get a starting defensive tackle, a running back, a wide receiver, edge guy, I mean, there's so many good players on the board, but there are potential starting defensive tackles, I think, that are on the board, even though 4 went last night. My absolute favorite, just me, is Collins. If you look at Collins of Texas, and I love him because he looks like Chris Jones. He's got long wingspread, Alfred Collins. And he had a medical earlier in the spring that I think has pushed him down, but he's got 7'1" wingspan, 7 passes defended, and he's blocked kicks. He runs down tunnel screens like he's a safety, and he's got hustle and effort. Derek Alexander of Toledo is another guy, scheme versatile. Think about Spags here. Spags doesn't want one guy just pigeonholed into a spot playing a 0 or 1 tech. He wants somebody he can move inside and outside and fit like a glove with all the other guys in that defensive line room that all are versatile for the most part. But there's a bunch of guys there that can fill that role and even be an inside starting day one inside technique guy.
A lot of people have this question today, and I'm curious if you've thought about it. I thought the Chiefs could have went in a lot of different directions at 31, and I would have been fine. If they had drafted Luther Burden at 31, I would have been cool with that. If they had taken Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, I would have been fine. I liked Joshua Simmons as well. But just knowing Luther Burden, the kind of playmaker he is, are you surprised that the Chiefs didn't take a chance on his ability and adding another wide receiver to that room?
Well, you're saying they won't. It's still early, my friend. The thing is, 75% of his targets last year were inside of 10 yards. You really have to go back and look at his 23 video, don't you, or his 22 video? Like, I remember seeing him run fades and 9 routes and winning in the red zone. And you tell me, was it scheme? Was it, I don't know, but he ended up being like, and it's almost like the transition Juju has made. And Juju's doing an awesome job at it, by the way. I love Juju being on this team because Juju's role now has become like the Jason Avant role of coach's first years here and his last years in Philly, where those guys are so critical in coach's offense. They become kind of the door hinge for the offense in many ways. And I like Luther Burden a lot, but what kind of pro does he project to? And I'm not casting aspersions on him. I'm just saying why, people have got to look at all of his video, and not last year where they were just using him as I don't say dink and dunk, but all of his stuff was inside of 10 yards, like bubbles and tunnel screens and quicks, and so that's all fine and good. But in this offense to thrive, especially as a young player, think of Xavier Worthy here, think of Rashee Rice. You've got to do everything. And you've got to be an X, you've got to be a Z, you've got to be a slot, and you better be able to run every route on the route tree. Not saying Luther Burden can't, but that's what you go through if you're the Chiefs of looking, can he? Will he? So, yeah. But, I mean, there's a gob of wide receivers up here still. The Besh kid from TCU. The sad story was, he lost his brother in that Sugar Bowl tragedy on Bourbon Street. But Jaden Higgins of Iowa State, there's a lot to like about him. I'm looking at this board. The other Iowa State guy, in fact, the local kid from Park Hill, Noel, who's smoking hot fast. There's Kyle Williams of Wazoo, Torrey Horton of Colorado State. Savion Williams is the Cordell Patterson of this draft out of TCU. And if you're moving on from a guy like McCole Hardman, then you find somebody that can do that kind of stuff, doing all of the jet sweeps and fake jet sweeps and all the stuff that works in this offense. So there's pages of wide receiver setting there too, it's what makes today and tomorrow fun.
Mitch, what do you have up for today? I know you got something going on today. This is too busy of a day for you to be sitting at home hanging out.
I ain't at home hanging out. We got our own draft room, by the way, on the 3rd floor of the practice facility, almost directly above like the real draft room. So I got Austin Woodard, who's my draft guru, my research king from Joplin, Missouri. And then, of course, Matt McMullen. But I'm going to be at Chicken Pickle tonight. I'll be there, and we're expecting Josh Simmons to be there, our first-round draft pick. Chicken and Pickle in Overland Park. And I'll be there at 6, a little bit before that. I'm going to try to roll in there about 5:30, 5:45, so I can see folks and commiserate and talk and have this kind of chat personally. And then I'll be on stage and then Zoom right back, because this is going to be a very active night, my friends. Stay tuned.
Well, Rob and I are going to be at the Chicken and Pickle out in Overland Park, so we will see you later today.
Okay, let's go. Let's figure this out.
That is Mitch Holtz, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us on the show today. He will be on the show, I presume, next week, as they have more selections than just their first overall pick. Mitch, it's always an honor and privilege to have you join us today. Thanks a bunch.
You got it, Snap Count.
Absolutely. That is Mitch Holtz joining us on the show today. Happy to have him pop on today. As a Chiefs fan, I understand if you wanted the Chiefs to take someone else. Like, that's the NFL draft, right? Like, we all think that we're a general manager and I want them to take this player or this player. I get all of that. I'm looking at this move more as a piece of the puzzle and what I think it means. And for an organization that has been trying to figure out left tackle, and I would say has currently locked themselves into a bad right tackle contract, I don't know how you can be upset with the idea that they went with. Sure, you wanted this player. You wanted this player. I know Bink's unhappy with the move, but just let's do the say it out loud test. What is the biggest area of need for the Kansas City Chiefs? What is the thing right now that they are missing in their 53-man roster? And if we are projecting this thing out 26, 27, it's left or right tackle. They drafted a player that is pretty widely considered by the people that do this one of the best prospects in this class. I can go through what Matt Miller had to say. I can play for you what Daniel Jeremiah had to say. I can play for you what Todd McShay. Every person that does this for a living is telling you this guy's got a chance. Hey, if this guy was healthy, this guy, you wouldn't even have had access to this player. I don't know how you can not be a fan of the pick. I don't think this is a home run. I think the injury concern is real. We're talking about a 300-pound man with a significant knee injury. I don't know what that looks like for him. Maybe he's not the same player that he was. We're also talking about, in theory, a lot of inactivity. He didn't play the second half of this season. He really didn't play last year. He got hurt in the first month of the year for Ohio State, and we think that he's going to miss a large majority of this upcoming season. That's a long time off from playing football. So I don't want to paint this like it's the perfect move. This is a can't-miss move. You don't get a can't-miss at 31. But if we're going to call the draft a crapshoot and we're going to say it's random and nobody knows, well, then I'm going to take talent then. I'm going to take talent, and I'm going to bet, A, that our coaching staff and our training staff, that we know what we're doing, and I'm also going to trust that we can draft and develop him, especially when you're going to give me a year's time to do it. We're not talking about a guy that we're thinking, man, they got to have him start game one. No, it's not what we're saying at all when it comes to this player. In fact, the Chiefs don't need Josh Simmons at any point, knock on wood, this season. And if he started the year on the PUP list, that's not the worst thing that could potentially happen. Rest up, learn the system, learn the scheme, get healthy, come back as good as new, ready to dominate in 2026. So maybe you wanted them to take another player. I mean, I'd have been fine. I wouldn't be on here complaining. If they had taken Luther Burden, I wouldn't be on here saying, hey, they should have taken the offensive tackle. They would have got one of the best wide receivers in this year's draft class. But I think we knew coming into this, Rob, is that the Chiefs had a bunch of different paths that they could go down. And I think all of the paths, if they work out, lead to a really good place. I think that Will Johnson is one of the best corners in this draft class. You're never going to hear me complain about adding better pass defenders. Luther Burden is probably going to go somewhere in the top 10 picks in the second round. You could have got one of the best wide receivers in this year's draft class and given Patrick Mahomes a more dangerous weapon. You also potentially looked out for the future and found your starting left or right tackle in another Super Bowl. That can't be a bad pick. I think the Chiefs were in a position where they could have gone in a lot of different directions. And at least today, we'll find out in the future, today it would have been very difficult to come to the wrong answer.
I think what you're describing is what we described leading into the draft. The Chiefs can draft any different number of positions, and me and you were not going to walk away angry. The Chiefs were in a position where if for some reason they had to field a team yesterday before the draft, if they played a bonus 19th or 20th, 21st, whatever game on April 24th, the Chiefs roster is good to go. We're ready. Here we come. They then had the option to do whatever they wanted in the first round, and they chose a position that is one of the, 3, 4 most valuable on the football field? You're never going to hear me complain about that. If you have an opportunity to do kind of whatever, you have carte blanche, and you decide to address value needs, yeah, that's an absolute win for the Chiefs. Maybe Josh Simmons isn't healthy. Maybe the 20% of people from Jeremy Fowler's reporting that didn't clear him are right. There are reasons to be skeptical of the player, and that's fine. But just conceptually, you could have done whatever you wanted because you have a team that's ready-made to win, and you picked high-value positions. That's a great job by Brett Veach and Co.
Text line 913-586-7965. CDOT, your optimism sounds a bit naive. It's not like this staff has a great track record at offensive tackle. This is not taking Wanya Morris in the third round. This is not taking Wanya Morris. Wanya Morris is a third-round pick. He was the 93rd overall pick. You took a offensive lineman in round 1. This is not the same. This is not Kingsley Suamataia, who is a guard that they tried at tackle. This is the best offensive line prospect, in theory, that Brett Veach will ever draft. This is a player that they should not be able to get, but he fell due to some circumstances. So I think all you have is optimism. That's what the draft is. It's what's the best case scenario for this player. And the best case scenario, if Josh Simmons works out, is he signs a second contract and you have your left or right tackle for when Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl. At pick 32, I don't know if you can really be that upset with that if that's how this scenario turns out for him. Coming up on the other side, let's talk about the financials of all of this and what it means. The Chiefs have 3 tackles under contract right now. Only 2 of them can play. We'll talk about it. Keep right here. It's The Drive.
Hey, it's Cole Reagans from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with CDOT on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Here's today's six-man picks, presented by DraftKings Pick 6.
Tonight, Boston looks to keep it rolling against Orlando. Consider picking Jaylen Brown to have more than 24.5 points. He's in position to get a lot more scoring opportunities due to injuries. In the West, consider picking Julius Randle to score more than 18.5 points against LA. He's coming off a strong performance in Game 2, and this number feels like a high-value pick.
Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and lock in your picks before tip-off with code MyPicks. That's code MyPicks for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Royals coverage sponsored by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back. RENNER.
It's almost Andy Reid. The offseason is a perfect time for a $100 tune-up from Renner Garage Door. Get a free replacement quote today. Call or click rennerdoor.com. Renner forward and back.
RENNER.
As men get older, our bodies change. We all know that, and often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find that your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make the change for good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
When something happens to your car, you might say,
My car!
but what you really need to say is something that can actually help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And just like that, State Farm is there to help you file your claim right on the State Farm mobile app. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois. Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They're the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, so they know a thing or two about keeping grass looking like a fairway. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think, and they'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They'll come back between visits to make it right. Don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Got a crash northbound 35 right at Bedford. That is closing the left lane. Heavy traffic into the downtown loop as you come up on that crash, and also seeing some slowdowns headed southbound on 35 is sort of precautionary as you get past it on the other side of the freeway. And also seeing slowdowns into downtown northbound 35. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Follow the station on Instagram at TheFan965 for giveaways and behind-the-scenes content.
Rob and I are on opposite sides. It's always good when we're on opposite sides. There aren't too many things related to this Josh Simmons thing that we are. I know that you guys think that I'm Buzz Killington and I hate everything that they do. There haven't really been many things that I disagree with. Someone on the text line says, CDOT, the issue I have is they've already addressed this position with the player in free agency that answers just as many questions about the position as Simmons did. You didn't get better with this pick. I think that is a fair stance if you are only looking at a draft player through the prism of this individual season. Yes, I agree. I don't think the Chiefs are better for week 2 by making this move. I agree with you there. But you have 5 years of club control over said player. I don't think it's just about being better today. I think it's about solving a long-term problem for the Chiefs and thinking ahead and preparing yourself for it. And that's what I think they did. So I don't have a problem with that. Yes, they would be better served in 2025 if they had drafted Luther Burden. They'd be in a better position if they had drafted Will Johnson for this upcoming season. But they still would have had to figure out right tackle. They have to address it at some point. If there is one thing that we can guarantee for the 2026 season, It is that Jawan Taylor will not be on the team. There is no scenario in which Jawan Taylor is on the team in 2026. They save far too much money to get him off of the team than for him to be on the team. They save $20 million. So he will be off the team in some capacity. Now, maybe Jalen Moore plays right tackle and Simmons plays left. Maybe the other way around. But what I think the ideal, what the best case scenario for the Chiefs is, Jalen Moore is good this year. They keep him at left tackle. Kingsley Suamataia wins the job. He is your left guard. You have center and right guard figured out. And Joshua Simmons, week 1 on the Thursday, the first game of the season, Joshua Simmons makes his first start as a starting right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are raising another Super Bowl banner, and they have won, 3 of the last 4 Super Bowl, 4 of the last 5. That would be the best case scenario for the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion. Rob, you disagree a little bit. Let's talk about it.
So I think that's best case scenario. I think it is more likely than not that Joshua Simmons is a starter right now. I understand why Bink doesn't like the pick because he views him as a redshirt player. I understand why people in the text line are upset with the pick. I don't like a redshirt player. I don't like redshirt players. And if this pick turns out to be a redshirt player, I will go from 99% happy to like 85% happy. But I think what people are falling into is the sunk cost fallacy. The idea that you've put money into this thing, so you got to keep trying to make it work because you've already invested heavily in it. I don't believe in that. I believe the Chiefs, who have in the past shown they will play the best player over the best contract, will do the same. Now,
really quick, though, and I got to call a timeout here. I don't want you to get too far ahead. I don't think they've ever shown it to this regard before.
Not to this level, but it has happened before.
And to me, though, that matters that it's not to this level before. Like, we can't deny that part of it. That I understand what people are arguing, the sunk cost fallacy, but teams buy into that all the time. Or else Hunter Renfrow wouldn't continue to be playing for the Royals every day. We all know Hunter Renfrow stinks. He continues to play for the Royals. Why? Because they paid him. So if you pay Jawan Taylor $20 million guaranteed this season, damn it, you going out there. I don't care if this other guy's better than you. We're going to get some return on our investment. He counts for almost 10% of their salary cap. 10%. So I understand what you're saying. If there is a competition, I'm telling you, follow the money. The money usually wins. And Jawan Taylor, they have gotten themselves more and more into guaranteed money with Jawan Taylor. You and I both know guaranteed money in the NFL, it don't last in your third year in the league. Not for a player like Jawan Taylor. They had chances to get out of this deal. And whenever we talk about restructure, I think fans think that means the player is taking less money. No, when you restructure, you were taking more guaranteed money. And everybody wanted them to go get DeAndre Hopkins last year. You want to know how they got DeAndre Hopkins? They guaranteed Jawan Taylor for this upcoming season. That's how they got him. They created $6 million in cap space, and that money's got to come from somewhere. It came from Jawan Taylor. So he's on the team. I don't know what to tell you guys. He is on the team this year. You cannot do anything with them. So that's where I just disagree, because I think teams believe in the sunk cost fallacy. I think that might be the one thing they believe in the most.
I think I have identified where me and you differ. We differ on what the sunk cost is. I think Josh Simmons is going to supplant Jalen Moore. And I think that $10 million, or I guess $20 million guaranteed.
$21 million.
And the $10 million eject button at the end of the year. So you're basically looking at, hey, we paid a swing tackle way too much money, and we'll have to eat it 1 year. I think that is the move that is going to be on alert. I think if Josh Simmons is healthy, and that's a massive if. I know Andy Reid said last night he believes he'll be ready for training camp. Well, that means he's missing OTAs, he's missing Camp Pat, he's missing rookie mini camp, he's missing all the shorts and T-shirt time. So that's obviously going to affect the timeline. But I think there is a chance that Joshua Simmons, who we have said all day on this show could have been a top 5 tackle if healthy, is a better player if healthy than Jalen Moore. And the Chiefs are going to start using Jalen Moore as a expensive and frustrating swing tackle because they have their guy.
I want to do the say it out loud test. The Chiefs took one swing in free agency, right? They took one swing. This was a quiet year for the Chiefs in free agency. And I don't say that as a negative. The Chiefs signed 1-year deals for everybody that was everybody. They took one swing. You think there's a chance that before they ever see that player play on their team and in their system, you think there's a chance that he doesn't play? You think they just gave Jalen Moore $21 million to watch the games with me and you? No chance. No chance. This just feels like, to me, we're all excited. And I get why you're excited. It's a round one pick, and no one wants delayed gratification. You got this new shiny thing, and in the draft, you're supposed to play with the new shiny thing. And you could have played with the wide receiver. You could have played with the corner. It'd have been great if that's what it got. You would have got their jersey. You would have went out there. You would have got their autograph. Man, it would have been so cool if they had got him. I really think they stashed a player, which I would say they have a track record of doing. They did the
Not
same
successfully.
thing. I mean, by year 2, the guy just couldn't play. I just want to tell you. Year 2, the guy just couldn't play. I don't know what to tell you.
Let me ask you this, and maybe I want your answer. The Chiefs will never know their answer. Do you think the Chiefs would have signed Jalen Moore if they knew Josh Simmons was there at 31, 32? Because I would tell you, I think the Chiefs, if you had said on March, whatever day he signed, hey, you're going to get Josh Simmons in the draft, I don't think the Chiefs would have signed Jalen Moore. I think the Chiefs would have been like, boom, rush, push the button, I'll take Joshua Simmons. I think they wanted big swing Ronnie Stanley, and they settled for backup Jalen Moore as he can be the guy, but if we find a better draft pick, we have a known backup.
Then they get an F. Then they're wrong. Then, I mean, I like Josh Simmons. Don't get me wrong. Then if you identify that this was a player that you thought could start for you for this upcoming season, like if that's what you thought, then I don't know why you could have just been aggressive and went to go get Joshua Simmons then and said to hell with the picks. You could have just done that. If you felt that strongly about finding your left tackle, I don't know why you then burned $21 million. Especially when you could have spent that on a lot of other things then. You could have got a better upgrade at wide receiver than Hollywood Brown if you just had $21 million to give away. Then if you had $21 million, why did you not spend it on pass rush this offseason? I just don't see a scenario in which they take, in a hard salary cap league, you have a pretty valuable resource, cap space, and you just light it on fire? I think the Chiefs are a good organization. This is not really what good organizations do. Again, I just don't think people want to hear the answer is you're going to have to wait a little bit. They've done this before. They did this with Patrick Mahomes. They did this with Felix Anudike. They are now doing it with Josh Simmons. He's going to chill. We're not going to hear from him. We're not going to see him unless an injury happens or Jawan's just bad this year. I mean, I guess that could happen. It could just be bad this year. He could be bad, and then that's it. Someone on the text line says, whoever looks better in camp will start. It's that simple. It's not that simple. Not when you gave 2 people $20 million guaranteed this year, and the other person is like, no, it ain't that simple. I know we all want it to be that simple. That ain't how Billy. You guys call Clark Hunt cheap. You think he would just give $20 million to a person and not work? Stop it. Jawan Taylor is playing this year. So is Jalen Moore. That's their left and their right tackle. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes. We make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey hockey fans, ready for the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs? Get in on the action throughout hockey's most exciting time of the year with BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Sign up or log in for odds boost tokens and more throughout the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. And that's not all. With BetMGM, you'll have access to countless NHL betting options, including new look same game parlays, teasers, live bets, and so much more. Follow the action and excitement of every goal and every game throughout the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs with BetMGM. Just sign up or log in today, and you'll be on your way to all the NHL action throughout the postseason. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 1 to 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Tonight, expect a low of 51 with mostly cloudy skies.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
This report is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts, your professional parts people.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Buckle up and hang on. This is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together. So close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We've got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts. Beer. And barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time. And you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Looking for the perfect engagement ring? At Shane Company, we know this is an exciting time. It can also be overwhelming. Customers say this a lot. Where do I start? How do I choose? At Shane Company, this is where the magic happens. Since 1929, we've been experts at helping customers find the perfect engagement ring. We invite you into the design process, help you pick out the perfect diamond or colorful gemstone, and choose a style that speaks to you. Come see us in store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly, or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line, or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory's moving fast.
Tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Listen up, Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. So let's do it again and get vaccinated. We're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults under 50. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com to schedule. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Moving heavy northbound 435, starting at about 48th Street, and doesn't ease up until you get to Shoal Creek. Also, things looking pretty slow through Grandview, southbound 49 highway. The slowdown started about Hickman Mills Road and ease up just before 163rd Street. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Hey, it's Lucas Ursig from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with C-Dot on 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back into The Drive on 96.5 The Fan. We're talking about, I guess, what the Chiefs are going to do with Josh Simmons. I think the answer is kind of simple. I think for this year, I think the answer is nothing. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that's the plan. They gave Jalen Moore $21 million. I think he is going to play this season at left tackle. Juwan Taylor, they gave him $20 million guaranteed. I think he is going to play. He's going to play this year. So they have spent $40 million on left and right tackle. I think they want to get return on their investment. I think those two guys are going to play. I think Simmons is going to be there as a break in case of emergency, or if something goes terribly wrong. Now, maybe, Rob, we can split the difference on this. I'm not saying that one of these guys will be the starter for all 18 games. Let's say an injury happens in week 4. Let's just create a scenario. An injury happens in week 4. Let's say that Juwan Taylor is out for a month. And then you put Simmons in there, and Simmons looks kind of good in that spot. Hey, he's showing real promise. I'm not sure if that means that Juwan Taylor is getting his job back after that. People lose their job all the time. My point I'm making is I'm talking about at the beginning of the season. I'm talking about when they're in St. Joe. I don't think it's going to be a real training camp battle or a competition. I think the competition was settled when they gave Jalen Moore $21 million 3 months ago. I think this conversation was settled when they restructured Juwan Taylor's deal and guaranteed him even more money. And this season, someone on the text line asked this question. Text line 913-586-7965. C-Dot, are we sure that they don't reconsider moving Juwan Taylor in some way? What about a cut? What about a trade? I don't know the cap hit. His cap hit is $34.7 million this season if they cut or trade him. 34.7. He's on the team. You got to get through this year. You just got to get through this year. They gave Juwan Taylor a lot of money, like a legitimate a lot of money. They gave him $40 million guaranteed the day that he signed the contract. They gave him $19.5 million guaranteed last March for this upcoming season. And if he shows up at the workout, which I don't know why he wouldn't show up at the workout, he gets $500,000 for simply showing up to work. They have committed a lot financially to Juwan Taylor. A lot. He's going to play. He's going to play this year and play a lot and be given every opportunity to start and play this year. It would take something catastrophic on the field in terms of his production or an injury for me to think that he's not going to be their starting right tackle this year.
I think that's a fine middle ground. The first thing you said, you're right. The expenses with Juwan Taylor are woof. I mean, we might look back at it in 2-3 years' time and say Juwan Taylor was the worst contract Brett Veach signed.
Honestly, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll give you this. Like, other than Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones, there's no player who is more locked into this team than he is. Like,
Kelsey's money's pretty big this year, isn't it?
Juwan Taylor has more guaranteed money than Travis Kelce has for this upcoming season. Like, okay, I'm with you. Kelsey's going to be on the team. I'm not saying they're cutting Travis Kelce. But, like, if we were talking about the level of commitment that they have made to an individual player, obviously Mahomes, you're not getting rid of him. Chris Jones, his contract, you're not getting rid of him. Juwan Taylor is third in terms of he's on the team for this year. He is an important part of your team this year. There's no getting out of the money they've agreed to give to him.
I agree with that. I also think, like I said, we might look back at this in 2-3 years' time. Maybe look back at it now and say that's the worst contract Brett Veach signed with his time with the Chiefs. I do agree with you on the middle ground, though. I think if Joshua Simmons, unlike a Week 18, doesn't matter, gets to play a real NFL football game for the Chiefs and looks and is good in that game, there's a chance he's just taking another grown man's job. That we've seen that before. Pacheco stole Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's job. Like we've seen it a bunch. I agree with you 100%. If Simmons is on the field, and maybe it's Jalen Moore's job he steals, but if Joshua Simmons gets on the field and looks good doing it, I think Joshua Simmons has a chance to steal a job. Me and you disagree on what happens breaking camp, but I do think there's a theft possibility in week 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 if something happens.
Text line, C-Dot, what does this mean for Wanye? It means he backing up. Yeah, that's what it means for this upcoming year.
By the way, the person on the text line is saying, let's just restructure Juwan Taylor.
That's what got him in this situation.
Also, no agent can be like, let's restructure so that my client makes no money and is very cuttable. That's not a thing that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you would restructure if you're Juwan Taylor is that something that would add years onto your deal. Like, this is the last year of his contract, essentially. We all know that they're cutting him at the end of the year. Like, there is finally a light at the end of the tunnel. The Chiefs can save $20 million. So if you come to me and you're asking me to move some money around, sure, I'm happy to move the $20 million that you owe me around. Well, then I want it next season. I want it guaranteed. I mean, if you're willing to do that, then sure, we can certainly have a conversation about me moving the money around. But you owe me 20 for this upcoming year. So if you want me to take 6 right now and move 14, sure, we can do that. Well, I want that 14 fully guaranteed for next year. And I'm guessing that you guys just want to get out of the Juwan Taylor contract. Well, getting out of the Juwan Taylor contract really comes one of two ways. Let him play out this year or just outright release him. Now, I mean, I wouldn't be in favor of it, but if you were telling me that they just come to the conclusion of, hey, it is not close between these two, then you have to just cut Juwan Taylor then. Just cut him. You just got to cut him and then take your medicine then at that point. You can't have him making $34 million on the bench. You can't do that. Not at that amount of money. I'd rather you just cut him. I'd rather you cut him and then Wanye Morris is your backup for this upcoming season. He has the second highest cap hit on your team and he got beat out in camp by a rookie, then it's over then. It's over. We see this happen with quarterback all the time. At some point, you just let Carson Wentz go play for another team. You let Russell Wilson go play for another team. Eventually, what the Falcons are going to have to do is, we can't have a $100 million backup quarterback. Then just release him at that point. And it's the same concept. That's the sunk cost. We're just going to take our medicine. But Juwan Taylor cannot be a backup on your team, not at the salary that you're currently paying him at. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll continue to talk about the NFL draft. We'll also look ahead to rounds 2 and round 3 and what the Chiefs could possibly do. You guys know what side I'm on. Running back, running back, running back. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison. On your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony's Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Northbound 435, looking heavy from Front Street all the way up, off and on through Shoal Creek. Got a multi-car crash closing the right lane, southbound 69 highway, just past 179th, and we're looking at heavy traffic there, 259th Street. Money back guarantees, parts and labor warranties mean you aren't just buying products, you're securing your investment. For a limited time, receive a free furnace when you purchase an AC. Schedule your complimentary proposal online at anthonyphc.com. I'm Lori Pierce at 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. Tonight in the pro basketball playoffs, the series between Minnesota and the LA team in purple and gold moves to Minnesota, tied at 1 apiece. Minnesota about a 3.5-point home favorite tonight. The total sitting at 206.5. Now, if you like Minnesota in the game, and I do, maybe this goes down to to 3, and you can bet Minnesota -3, but even at 3.5, I do like Minnesota, and I like Minnesota on the money line to win this game as well. Good job by LA in Game 2 being physical with Minnesota. I don't think they can do that again. Give me Minnesota laying the points, Minnesota to win tonight against LA. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and take your game to the next level with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education. But that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Wendy's has this new Cajun Crunch chicken sandwich. And to be honest, I'm kind of crushing hard on this Sammy. It's packed with bold Cajun flavors and topped with crispy onions for a satisfying crunch. All on Wendy's iconic spicy chicken sandwich. It's honestly kind of my dream sandwich. I hope it likes me back. For a sandwich you'll love, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
I'm sure everyone says this, but my mom really deserves the world. This year, I finally found a Mother's Day gift that comes close. She loves Hellsberg, so I'm getting her these timeless gold earrings she can enjoy for years to come. They feel special enough to show how much I truly appreciate everything she does for me. And I mean everything. I even sent my dad a link to the Diamond Eternity band he'll be getting her, too.
Save up to 50% on Mother's Day gifts Mom will cherish forever. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you.
Red Hot Car Giveaway, only at Harris, Kansas City. Saturday, April 26th, one lucky winner will win a brand new Red Hot Lexus ES350. Harris is giving away $2,500 in free play every 15 minutes from 7 p.m. till 10:45 p.m. At 11, two winners will receive $5,000 in free play, and one person will win $10,000 cash. And one person drives home a brand new Lexus ES350. Visit our website for full details. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This report is brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka in Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka in Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Proud partner of the Kansas City Royals. Each can of Surfside is only 100 calories. And the best part, 0 bubbles. Grab it at the K or ask for it at your favorite bars and liquor stores.
Go check out 96.5 The Fan's Instagram page for videos, giveaways, and behind-the-scenes content. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2. Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Congratulations on getting through your 9 to 5. Thank you so much for listening. It is The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very excited to be here with you on this wonderful, wonderful Friday. We got a lot to get into. The Kansas City Chiefs have selected a first-round pick, and we now have the answer. They have drafted left tackle, right tackle, Joshua Simmons, from Ohio State. Let's start with this, and we'll talk local, we'll talk national, we'll get you ready for today. There's a lot of stuff centered around the NFL draft. I said coming into this thing that there were a lot of different scenarios that the Chiefs could go through, and that there was no world in which I was going to be unhappy with what the Chiefs decided to do. I think that played itself out yesterday. The Chiefs had, I would say, 3 clear paths that they could have gone down. The Chiefs could have taken a left tackle. They did that with Joshua Simmons, and that prepares them for 2026, 2027, and beyond. I think that is a really good thing. The Chiefs could have gotten the most dynamic and explosive player left on the board with Luther Burden. If the Chiefs had taken a wide receiver and their wide receiver room for next season was going to be Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Luther Burden, Juju Smith-Schuster, that is a great room, and I still think they're going out and getting a running back. I would have been happy with that. I love Will Johnson from Michigan. I don't know why he's moving down boards. Maybe there's an injury concern. Maybe there's a character thing that I don't know about. But the player that I saw this year at Michigan for a defense that did everything in their power to help Michigan make a bowl game, I thought he was their second best player on defense this past year behind Mason Graham, who went 5th overall. If the Chiefs had taken a corner and their cornerback room was going to be Trent McDuffie, Will Johnson, Christian Fulton, and Jalen Watson, and now Najee Johnson is your 5th option, I would have been perfectly fine with that. I thought the Chiefs had a couple of different roads that they can go down, and this is the one that they decided to go down. What excites me the most about this is, and this is something, Rob, that you and I had been talking about when we kind of looked at him as a player that made sense for the Chiefs at 31. I don't think that he is a prospect that is usually available to them at 31. You don't get players of this caliber. Ryan Day, now admittedly, he is biased. Ryan Day says that he believes if Simmons had decided to come back to school, he thinks that Simmons would be a top 5 pick in next year's NFL draft. The head coach of Ohio State believes that the player that the Chiefs just drafted had top 5 potential. Well, then the Chiefs don't select near the top 5. And if you're looking at left or right tackle as a position of need, and you got a player who we believe could develop into a premium prospect, you got to take him at 32. And you also, and we can keep this conversation going, but this is important to note, you also picked up a 5th-round pick in the process. So you got a potential left tackle for the future or right tackle of the future, and you get another asset that maybe you use to trade up in this year's draft. Maybe you package 63 in that 5th-round pick, and you move up to go get a player that you really love. Who knows what you end up using the 5th-round pick for? Maybe you use that selection, and it turns out to be a player that you really like. Whatever it is, you picked up an additional asset and picked up a player that we can project right now will be a starter for you in 2026. That's a great move if you're Kansas City. So I like the move. I would give it an A. I don't think it's a home run swing because of the injury concerns, but the injury concerns are also why he's available where he was selected. But you got a player who people like Todd McShay, who have been doing this for quite some time. Todd McShay believes that the Chiefs got the most talented offensive tackle in this class. An offensive tackle went number 4 overall. Todd McShay thinks that the player that the Chiefs got is more talented than that player.
Josh Simmons from Ohio State, I've said for most of the year, is the best offensive tackle in the class. And the more I look at it and the more I watch him, the more I'm convinced I was right then. If New England were to take Josh Simmons at 4 overall, I wouldn't even blink. He's that damn good. He is the most gifted tackle in this class. And
this is what I wrote. This was my first line.
It's not even close.
In all caps, most talented offensive lineman in the class, ... not close IMO, in my opinion. Go ahead.
So we agree. I just don't get it. He's that good. The ACL, I think, is the biggest issue here. If we were talking about him, if he had finished the season and he had to run through the playoffs where he played those teams, they played all those great teams, I think if he had faced them, he would have shown how good he is. This is a guy that's slipping through the cracks for reasons I don't understand. I think when I do my final rankings, he's going to be higher than I think most people have him.
So that is Todd McShay, most talented offensive tackle in this class. Here is Chico Boardman. Chico Boardman, who is the post-game host for Ohio State. Here's what he had to say about Josh Simmons.
I think when you look at him, just the size, I mean, 6'6", about 320. He got hurt, obviously, and we'll touch on that a little bit more, but got hurt about 5 games in. But, I mean, CDOT, if he doesn't get hurt, no disrespect to Will Campbell and your boy Membo, who I like a lot, you know, there's a good chance Josh Simmons is tackle one. But he did have the injury. You know, when he transferred from San Diego State, he made that transition from right tackle to left tackle, and sometimes that's not easy to do. For him, it was pretty seamless. So, you know, he's not a mauler in the ground game, but I think if you're looking for just an extremely athletic and just God-given ability and height and weight and all that stuff, he's going to bring that. He's got a good motor. You know, the injury, it's the PCL. So, you know, that's something that the team, I'm sure, is triple and quadruple checked as far as the meds go. But I think he'd be a perfect fit for you guys on that left side, left or right side. But I think he's more than capable of filling that bill.
This is what I think is the ideal scenario for the Chiefs. And Rob disagrees, and we can talk about it. I think the ideal scenario now for Kansas City is this. Jalen Moore has a really productive season. A really productive year. I would argue that they then extend him at the end of the year. Let's say that Jalen Moore goes out there, puts together a Pro Bowl caliber season. I would then extend him past this season. Why go into it on a final year of a contract for a player that's under 30 years old at left tackle that you really like? Just extend him. So Moore goes out there, balls out, gets an extension. Kingsley Suamataia wins the left guard position. He's your left guard. You already got center and right guard taken care of. Why do we need to debate it? And then after this season, when you release Jawan Taylor, you get back $20 million in cap space. You put Joshua Simmons over at right tackle. You now got $20 million to do whatever it is you need to do. The Chiefs are going to be in a really unique situation next year with the amount of cap space they're going to have. They're going to have almost $40 million in cap space by Travis Kelce retiring and cutting Jawan Taylor. That's a lot of cap space to go sign Trent McDuffie, to go sign George Karlaftis, to be aggressive in free agency and sign an impact pass rusher or another corner. Whatever you want to do, they're going to have the cap space to do. That's what I see as the best case scenario. And the number one, I guess, 2 reasons why I really like this move. We talked about the talent and that he is just not a player that I think is readily available at 32. I think you got him at a discount. I think he is a TV that is usually $1,000, but it's an open box. So now you got it for $400. I think you got to buy that television. You got a $1,000 TV. You spent $400 on it. Be happy with the bargain that you just got. Sure, maybe something is wrong with that TV and it breaks, and now you got to figure it out. Maybe it's the $1,000 TV that you got, and nothing is wrong with it, and you have that TV for the next 10 years. That's a realistic possibility. I hear you guys tell me all the time how the draft is the ultimate crapshoot. Well, you know what I'm always going to side with? Talent. I'm always going to be on the side of take really good players. And yes, there usually is a reason why you shouldn't draft a player, whether it's injury concern, whether it's effort, whether it's background, character concerns, whatever it is. You just got to figure out what red flags you can live with. And if the injury thing bothers you, the fact that they don't need him to start week 1, the fact that they don't need him to start week 6 this year, we would believe, and the fact that he has a lot of time to fully recover, to fully rehab, and be back close to 100% in play, I think the value was too good for them to pass up. I think this was the best decision that they could have made. I think it was the draft pick that made the most sense for the Chiefs. And I think ultimately you could not, given the need that they have, You could not pass on his talent and run the risk of not getting a comparable player, whether it was in this year's draft at 63 and 66 or in next year's draft, when we all believe the Chiefs are going to pick somewhere between 28 and 32.
I agree with you there. I think this was a little bit of a no-brainer. We talked leading into the draft coverage about how the Chiefs can really do anything. They can go corner, they can go running back, they can go safety, they can go line. There's really not a position in the field outside of quarterback that the Chiefs had taken in 31. You'd be like, why are they doing that? They had nothing but options. I love that Brett Veach took all those options, picked the position that is the most valuable of all the options, and said, okay, great, I'm bringing him in. That is, honest to goodness, for the first time this offseason, the time where Brett Veach has really prioritized positional value. He didn't do it with Nick Bolton. He didn't do it with Trey Smith. He hasn't done it really. Kareem Hunt, he hasn't done it this offseason. He did it in the draft, and that is the massive win. Where me and you maybe see it differently is, I think Joshua Simmons is in some form or fashion your left tackle either this year or of the future. I think by adding Joshua Simmons, they are telling Jalen Moore in some capacity, you are a right tackle. You are not the future at left tackle. You do not bring in a guy who, admittedly, Ryan Day, very biased, and obviously is going to support his guys on the draft day, Cruton, says the top 5 pick at left tackle. You don't play him one day at the right because Jalen Moore was just really good and we've paid him. I think in some form or fashion, either this year or next year, Jalen Moore, you better learn right tackle because we have our left. We have our future plans. So start doing it in training camp this year so you're ready to roll and have some value in 2026 because you don't bring in Joshua Simmons and everyone tells me he's the best tackle in the draft, he was healthy, to have him swing over to the less important side on the offensive line.
Let's say that Jalen Moore's really good. What do?
You tell him to go to the right. I'm sorry. Sometimes that's life.
I guess I'm asking this question is, what scenarios would you feel comfortable with Jalen Moore staying at the current position that he is going to play for this upcoming year?
I don't know there is one. Unless
you and I are just different then.
Unless there, I guess, technically, calamity with Joshua Simmons would lead me there. Like, let's say Joshua Simmons is Kingsley 2.0. I don't believe that. Let's just say
yeah, if that happens, then he's getting moved.
Yeah,
he's getting moved.
Jalen Moore is your left tackle forever. But, like, I think if Joshua Simmons is healthy and ready to go at some point in 2025 or at the very latest 2026, plug and play left tackle. He ain't moving to the right.
Yeah, you and I are just on different sides of that, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, somebody has to move over to the other side. I mean, Jalen Moore has played 55 snaps in his NFL career at right tackle. He has played a majority of his snaps at left tackle. If you were telling me in the middle of his career, a player who, and let's see how well he performs, if he's really good at left tackle this year, the plan is just to move him, that's not what I would do if I'm the Chiefs, but we obviously have to see how this season plays itself out. Here is Pro Football Focus. They think that Simmons is the most boom or bust prospect in this year's draft.
At number 5 on our list, it is Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. So now, why is he number 5, not a little bit higher? Because I see a lot of people have him as OT2, OT3, maybe OT1. I think context is really important with Josh Simmons. He has less than half a year of elite production, and that came this year. Obviously, I mentioned before, torn patellar tendon, but he did say he should be good to go in mid-April for his own pro day, which is good, very good news for Josh Simmons. I don't think he'll ever displace defenders in the run game. Not really a strong player. He's got a 58.9 career run blocking grade and 33-inch arms as well, which is 12th percentile for tackles. I think Josh Simmons is one of the biggest boom or bust prospects in this draft. His pass blocking tape this year was elite, but like I said before, it came in 5.5 games against very, very easy competition. He has traits that you want to bet on, and I completely understand why he's projected as a first-round pick, but the production, I think, is severely lacking.
The best way I can put this is Simmons' good tape is really good. There's also a lot of inconsistent in his game that we've seen going back to his time at San Diego State and then at Ohio State.
That sounds to me like the 31st overall pick. Both good and bad. Why a team took a chance on him in round 1. That also explains why teams who were looking for tackles decided to go in a different direction. That's what it sounds like to me. I think this is the prototypical first-round pick. Now, this is Chiefs related, but also national related. I think sometimes we forget that only a small amount of people can be a first round pick. Only 32 players. Now, there are always going to be, I don't know, maybe like 15 guys that are surefire first round picks. Travis Hunter, Cam Ward. Like, there's some guys that, yeah, you're going to be a first round pick. And then I would say, Rob, and you probably agree with this, there's like 40 people fighting for like 16 spots. Like, Will Campbell was going to be picked in the first round. But I would say between Joshua Simmons, a Luther Burden, a Shadur Sanders, there's like 40 players that are fighting for 16 spots. So I think whenever a guy like Shadur doesn't get picked in the first round, some of us kind of point, well, like, he might be like the 37th overall pick. I mean, that's still pretty good. I mean, I can give you a lot of really good players who were the top 10 picks in the second round. Same thing for Luther Burden. Now, I think Luther Burden in some ways played himself out of being a first round pick, but we can just go in recent memory of wide receivers that were selected in the top 10 picks. I mean, that's where Deebo Samuel got drafted. That's where Ladd McConkey got drafted. We can find a lot of really good receivers who got drafted narrowly outside the first round and early in the second round. I'm looking at Tennessee as a possibility for Luther Burden. You took a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. You're looking for weapons to put around your quarterback. Adding Luther Burden is not a bad thing to do if you're the Tennessee Titans. I don't think that Burden is going to drop too much further in this year's draft. His talent level is too high to me. He's too dynamic with the football. I don't think that he's in a range for Kansas City realistically to go get. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe he's dropping down the board and he's there at 55. Would the Chiefs trade up to go get him? I don't know. But they passed on him the first time. I think Burden is going to go sometime pretty early. I'm guessing he is going to go in the first 10 picks of this second round. I think he's too talented of a wide receiver, and a lot of those teams that are picking in that top 10 have a young quarterback that I think they want to pair with a really talented wide receiver prospect like Luther Burden.
I agree with you. I think the Chiefs have no shot at him today. I don't know if he makes it to 40. There's too many teams that I think will take a receiver or a weapon in that window. I'll also tell you, like, and maybe this is going to come off like a hater, if he starts making it to 45, 50, 55, are we sure the Chiefs want him? Because that means something is wrong. That means that either he tested poorly or there's major character concerns or there's some story floating. Because if he gets into that range where you think the Chiefs could go get him, let's just use 48. If he gets to 48, 49, 50, I don't know the Chiefs are going to want to trade up to go get that guy because it means there is something in the Burden sphere that is wrong because there's no reason that talent should be there at 48, 49, 50.
All right, Rob, let's get to the hits, and we'll do some more national stuff coming up in the 5:30. I do want to give you guys my thoughts on Shadur, where he could potentially go. We're off early today? Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was Friday, so I assumed they played it. My bad. I thought there was a 5:30 today.
Still school year. Royals are still doing those 5:30 games.
Oh, I thought on Fridays they played at the regular time. My bad. I apologize.
So they changed it this year. I don't know why. I agree with you. They should be.
Yeah, no,
Friday.
I thought this whole time we were off at 6. I would have paced the 5 o'clock hour very differently had I known that. I just learned this for the first time.
Anyone that accuses this show of not being live is just befuddled by what just happened.
You know what? I haven't really been thinking too much about the Royals the last couple of days.
They're red hot. They've won 4 in a row.
They played the Rockies and the draft was happening. I will be fully invested in the Royals on Tuesday. Like, once the draft is over, I'll be back fully invested in the Royals. But you know what? The Royals they've taken a little bit of a break in my mind for these next couple of days. Well, you're going to talk about the Royals today? No, I don't have any plan of talking about the Royals today, actually. None. This was all the Royals conversation you're going to get today.
Which was more than you anticipated.
Yeah, no, I did not give you too much more. Where do you think Shadur is going to get drafted?
New Orleans.
Right now, Vegas is the betting favorite.
I think that would be, Vegas would have Geno Smith and Diet Geno Smith. I think it's New Orleans. I think the Raiders are going to let him slide past, and they're going to see if they sink or swim with Geno, and if they sink, they'll go get their quarterback next year when it's a super deep class. So I think he slides to New Orleans, and it's a Derek Carr and Shadur battle in 25, excuse me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I am intrigued by the idea of Cleveland having 2 second-round picks in the first 5. Cleveland has 33 and 36. I'm really intrigued to see what they do and if they do it. Like, does Cleveland take a chance on Shadur and just think that the value's too good in the second round to pass up? I do think that Shadur is going in the second round today. And I think that most years we would look at Shadur as like a prototypical second round pick. Like, it used to not be a bad thing to be a second round pick. Maybe it's just a Shadur thing, but like now we've turned being a second round pick into like a bad thing, which I don't think that it is. I mean, the current Super Bowl MVP is a second round pick. I don't think it's the worst thing that can happen, but everything is always a little bit different with Shadur. We had a lot of fun today. We will have all your draft coverage coming up on Monday. Take care of yourself. It's The Drive. And until then, I'll let Daniel Craig take you home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck?